And good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. Welcome to Dreamy Dream. I'm with Sensei Al Bob. I am your Sensei Al Bob, and I'm your griot. I tell you stories. And so, what's the story today? The story is nothing that you think is true. Who you are, what you are, where you came from, what it's about, none of the above. And the only true access point to that is love's co-creation. So it's up to you, and every day in every way, do your best. Right? Step up, be your best. It's easy to be a schmuck. I do it all the time when I'm unconscious. And here I am in my 70s, and if I have any talent, any grace, any attribute, it is to be in the right place at the right time and go for it, right? And that has enabled me to experience things that most people don't because they're scared. And I was too dumb to be scared. And now that I've experienced a life for a good deal, I realize I've died 7 times. What's the worst thing that can happen to me? But I die. No big deal. So, we are at one of these junctures, kind of where they were at the fall of the Roman Empire, right? The Byzantine Empire, the Greek Empire, the Egyptian Empire, all these empires, they fall, right? So what's happening to ours? And they don't fall like a snap of the fingers. It's a slow kind of thing, right? I'm cooking dinner, and the secret to cooking anything is not letting it burn. So I'm just going to check up on things, make sure it doesn't burn. Look for my spoon. Yep, got it just in time. It didn't burn. Oh, it's good. It's all good. Ah. Now you let it rest. How's these guys doing? These guys are doing good. Oh. Yep, turn it off. Put the cover back on. This one's kind of almost over. So spring is just around the corner. All good things are right in front of us. That's time to step up, to go for it, right? And I've been here now, let's see. I came here 2 days after New Year's. So January, February. So that's 60 days, give or take, right? March is just upon us. Monday or Tuesday is the 1st. So it's, I've done pretty much everything I came here to do. And it's up to all the people who I came to assist. I can't do it for them, right? Now I'm looking for a cadre to take a show on the road, the traveling video art circus, right? This is a very, very profitable, very fun, very socially amazing. Jamie Hillier, it warms my heart to catch you live out. Yeah, here I am. Spinning has sprung. Win-win. Yep. And so, there'll be a couple of cold days here and there. But I, cooked a very nice dinner. I have a very nice soup here. That's that grainy kind of stuff, and this vegetable, shrimp, a cheese, ravioli, kale, onions, garlic, red peppers. And the next thing is I'm going to use up my whatchamacallit here, my mozzarella cheese and red peppers, right? Very yummy. It's a good little antipasta, before the big meal, right? Oh, yeah. I don't know what I did with my other hat, but here's my little Debbie hat. So here we open up the red pasta. I mean the peppers. And then we slice up the mozzarella. And mozzarella is a very interesting cheese. You kind of just pull it apart. You don't really slice it up. You pull it apart. I'm going to throw some onto the raviolis here. Just pull it apart. And you put the red peppers. Mozzarella, good. Yum. It's nice with some red wine, but I don't. So, anyway, I'll keep you with me. So John is my friend, and I don't really give up on him. But it can be tedious. I just wish he could let go of all his neuroses and things that latch onto him. And, it can happen to everyone. The thing is, you don't let that stuff get a hold of you. Basically, you don't let it get a hold of you, right? And that's a problem because people don't understand that the paranormal is right here, right with us, and can affect us if we let it. And when we are self-indulgent and self-centered and neurotic, and everything is about you. I swallowed a little piece of cheese down my lungs. And that's what coughing's about. You cough it up. So that's the real issue is how to translate and to navigate through life. Life is just a sandbox, Life is just an illusion. It's not a misery. It's a great adventure, a great thing to travel through, right? Let's see what James saying. Back at John's Cool, but not for long. I'm out of here. Good friends are rare. But good friends, the whole thing about friendship, is what it's about. It's about, like everyone who I'm with, I'm more concerned that they're happy rather than I'm happy. It's not, hey buddy, I made dinner.
You didn't go live on your you went live, but you didn't go live on your.
Oh, I did, but I'm still learning. I'm still learning.
You look good.
I'm still learning.
You look good. Nice clothes.
Yeah, well, same clothes I've been wearing. So.
Do you want that hat?
Yeah,
as a gift.
Yeah, no, thanks, buddy.
It's a special hat from my movie.
Yep.
It's a movie prop.
It's a movie prop.
Yeah.
It's a Little Debbie hat.
Oh yeah.
It's a Little Debbie hat.
You woke up a little earlier doing that video. I might not put it up. I might, but I have to blur it out.
Whatever. Here you go.
Thanks. Thank you.
Some soup.
Thank you.
There you go.
Anyway, I'll be taking my
let's give you away. Here you go.
It's off to Hollywood.
Yeah, there you go.
I don't even know you anymore.
Me neither.
I'm
a
big Hollywood producer.
I don't know me either.
Anyway, look. Good luck, kid.
Thanks.
I'm out of here. I'm a big producer.
Yeah, he's a big producer now.
No, it made me feel old.
It's all good. It's all good.
I'm old and you're young.
Whatever it is.
No, that sucks. It feels bad.
No, I don't.
When I.
Oh, you want some? You want some mozzarella and red peppers?
You can have it.
I am having it. I'm just sharing it.
No, that's okay.
Okay.
Do you have more of it in the refrigerator?
Right here.
Okay, never mind.
It's all here.
Oh.
So here.
I'll take one of these.
Okay.
I'll get it from here. That.
Take a slice. Yep. Yeah, put in your soup. I'm making raviolis and vegetables here.
Oh. Wow.
Yeah. So, just talking to Cadre about friendship.
Wow, this is really good.
Yeah, it's good.
There's a Tenacious D song that sings about friendship. You look good. Okay.
Yeah, just trying to stay warm.
Yeah. Finish the electric to the guest house?
Yeah, all done. At least all done until the sheetrock goes up.
Cool.
And I would suggest that you have the sheetrock, put it up. Because then it's all done. It's all finished. It's all safe. It's all good. Anyway. So what are we saying here? Yeah. Cool hat. Great adventure. Harmony. Yep. Work in progress. Yep. Love those sweet peppers. Yeah, baby. One of my favorite. I used to live in a neighborhood in New York where it was really like every 2 blocks was a different nationality. And the Italian guys, Mr. Gonzalez, he used to make mozzarella right there in the store. And he used to smoke it right on the street, make a little fire on the sidewalk.
No.
and he would hang the mozzarella
No.
right so it would all be smoked.
Good food.
Yeah, good food. And I used to live in a Polish, Lithuanian, Ukrainian neighborhood. And there was a restaurant called Valsakis, another one called Bucharest, another one called Crimea, another one called Minsk. And it's sad to see what's happening in the Ukraine. It's all, a soap opera, but people are dying. And I have a lot of friends who are, because I went and shot the 1984 Olympics. And I went there 2 or 3 weeks before the Olympics, and I stayed 2 or 3 weeks after the Olympics. And because I was, working for a wire service, I could take my film to their office in Sarajevo, where I was, and they would develop it and make prints. So all the pictures I took, and I didn't take pictures, of like the average, Olympic thing. The people running. I mean, there are tons of people taking those pictures. I took pictures of people who were working there. I took pictures. Sarajevo is a beautiful city. And I took pictures.
Sarajevo!
Yeah, Sarajevo. But then, now that's South American, John. That's not Yugoslavian. You got to work on the Yugoslavian thing. That was more like from Brazil or Venezuela. Yeah, or Mexico. That was wasn't quite
Mexico City.
Wasn't Sarajevo. Sarajevo was one of the beautiful cities that had been around hundreds of years. And then when they had the Civil War, Makovich or whatever his name was, he put all the 77s, artillery, in the mountains around it, and shot at people who were just trying to go to work with, anti-aircraft shells.
Protect us from evil.
And they blew up Sarajevo. So I went back a number of years later to visit because all those people I knew ran away, and a good deal of them came to New York. So we went back. And to see a war zone like that, it was so sad. And so the same thing happened to Syria. They blew up thousands of year old great architecture and historical important things, and they're gone. Same with Libya, same with Iraq. Iraq is the seat of culture, of society, of where humanity came from. Well,
Iraq was, or it kind of is.
the northern part, yep.
I didn't know.
Yeah, wherever Babylon.
You said back before all the deserts.
Yeah. I'm talking about Babylon. I'm talking about 30,000 years ago.
It was like historic.
Right, and we blew it up.
For big oil, big money,
Yep.
big trucks, big guns,
Yep.
red meat, and
Yep.
fuck you, man.
And fuck you, man.
But not you, but whoever.
Fuck whoever, right? Exactly.
So Egyptian, fuck that.
Yeah.
Blow it to shit.
Blow the ship.
Cow patty.
Yep.
1,000 cows.
Yep.
In factory form. That tastes good.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Yep. So
Eating their bodies and stuff.
I'm watching the.
Shoot the shit out of somebody with, I don't like that shit.
Yep.
I don't like that ancient Egyptian.
Uh,
I'll shoot the shit out of him. Shit.
So let's do it, Jamie. Let's do it. Come and visit. You know, I can barely, you know, it's I can see, but I can barely see. You know, my neural net is like, you know, I can see all these other things that other people can't see, but just, you know, like I was doing some work and I dropped a screw. I couldn't find it on the floor. You know, the floor was gray, the screw was gray. I couldn't see it, right? Now I can see, you know, the refrigerator's here and this is there, but I can't really see like the writing. What's wrong, John?
Feels awful.
It feels awful. That's good soup you're drinking.
Okay.
Isn't it? It's nice and hot, right? It's making you feel warm on the inside.
I haven't felt my best.
Why? You can feel your John. You can feel your best.
Maybe other people in my life have it way worse. I'm supposed to be happy with whatever lesser.
No, John. You can have whatever. That's the beauty of life, John. You can have whatever you want. You can go do it. Just go do it. That's it. Go do it. You know, spring is coming. You can. You know, I'm going to come back in May, John. I have a couple of eye surgeries I need to have here. And if you want to take a road trip to Texas, let's go. It'll be great. Let's do that, John. Let's just have a good time. You know, go out there and do it. Meet people, do things, talk to folk, make videos.
Hey, I'm the Latino.
You know?
Hey,
yeah.
Hey, Tennessee.
No, I'm talking about Texas. I'm talking about, you know, heading straight down 81, going all the way through Tennessee, going to I have friends in Nashville. We can go to Nashville, Music Town. Would you like to go to Nashville?
Come on, we do what we want.
I can put you on stage in Nashville, in Music City.
No way.
Yeah, why not? You'd be there with your guitar. You could sing.
I need a little bit of a change, something different.
Nashville is definitely different than this place. No one knows you, John.
I've been in the South since 2000.
Oh, Nashville isn't the South. It's a total different place.
Oh, come on.
It's not Roanoke.
It's the home of country music.
Right. It's one of the largest, it's not just country music, it's every kind of music. R&B.
Not really.
Really it is, John.
Come on, you got to joke a little bit about, yeah, well, come on, blame that. You know, so I could get along with all my friends around here growing up. That's why I laugh that way. I'd rather not be a part of it.
Be part of life, John. Embrace life.
Oh, you're leaving America to go to California.
No, you're not.
You're turning your back on Uncle Sam.
No, California's in America.
Yeah, exactly, but that's what they don't understand. They think you're leaving the country to go to California.
No,
it's California's
no.
It's liberal there. They think, yeah,
John, California is like America. It has a slice of every pie there is.
Where else could I walk outside and go, hey, shit, and film it with a video camera and not worry about ever getting in trouble?
Then let's go. Let's go to California. Let's drive, go through Texas, see your boys. You know, take them on a road trip. You, me, and the boys. We'll start a band called You, Me, and the Boys.
No.
Why not?
What? I don't want to go to the random America. I'm tired of it right now. I like a vacation somewhere.
Let's go to California. Oh, man. Gotta move around.
I'm not against it, but I'm just, I'm going along with whatever they want to believe in politically. I don't give a fuck. Just don't hurt me. I don't give a fuck. I want to sell my house, get the fuck out of here, go to California.
Let's go. Let's go to California.
Whatever the fuck politically they believe in. It's not that bad.
It's not that bad. Not that bad.
Finally be my biggest, best self.
Yep.
And not worry about someone saying I can't be myself.
That's right.
That's how I really feel, and I've kept it quiet, but, hopefully none of them are watching on your channel, the bad guys.
They're not. The bad guys not.
who watch my channel want to make sure it has low views. As soon as it starts getting higher views, whoa, they want to, they want to take the numbers down or something.
What's up?
Something like that. Apparently, and if I say apparently, they want to say apparently, like I'm black. Apparently, if I say apparently, the people who I've been here since 2005, I moved here as a young man, so confident, thought I could do these huge, big, amazing things, and worked so relentlessly at it, and was so happy and looked forward to the future, and that was taken away from me and given barely any results. And I'm earning $48 a month at my YouTube channel. What are you doing?
You're talking? You want to be on the show? I'm putting you on the show.
All right. Feel a little bit better about my turn some hat off. Even though I have to pee. I gotta pee right now.
Well,
I'd like to get in better shape, feel better about myself, and do the things I enjoy, like writing a screenplay and acting. And
then write a
thing
screenplay.
that I wrote.
Write a screenplay. I mean, right now, this is a great time.
I gotta use the bathroom.
Okay, use the bathroom. So, kind of, what motivates me to write is I experience something. I have a disappointment or a ecstasy. I write about it, right? I put it in a storyline, right? So, it's and so right there you saw, John was going on about, I was talking about something. Did we come together and have a conversation? No. John went straight to, how he feels and how he's miserable and, how people are attacking him, and no one's attacking him. I mean, no one cares to attack him, right? Now, not to say that there isn't indiscriminate nuttiness going on. Friday was unbelievable, Friday, I went down and my phone stopped working because my bank became a different bank. And their IT just didn't work. So my little card didn't work. And I went to the bank, and everyone in the bank didn't know what to do, And because it wasn't just me having that problem, it's the other, 30 million people who were in that bank were having the same problem. And then, the manager who I knew walked in, and I said, "Hey, what's the problem?" She took care of it. I said, "How come the other people?" She goes, they were like stuck in the protocol. Is it cold out there?
A little bit.
Here you go. Here's our meal.
I'm tired of it all. I'm tired of the I'm tired of the low results I got for relentless work.
Here you go.
I did more than most anyone.
There you go. That's
But
yummy.
it's barely anything compared to how hard and relentlessly I work.
But don't you
determined?
get any enjoyment out of?
Like at good things. At good, my work actually getting noticed. To work that hard, to suffer at it, break down, cry, and suffer working so hard at editing of my films, my movies. It was not easy. I never worried about my health till I got to this fucking great house, good house. And I worked so hard at shit that I fucking did not like. So it made me feel awful inside with my wife and kid, with my wife who left me and took the kids with no love inside, feeling so bad every moment, day after day, 12 hours a day it went on so long that I don't like that type of thing. And I don't like that kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's
I
then
want to
do.
go where I can feel happy.
Then go. Then go, John. Go. Don't stay here. Go to wherever you're going to be happy. California is going to make you happy.
Worry about
Then go there.
things.
Go there. Go there.
I can be with my kids again. I can maybe if I sell my house, I can pay her enough to get both of my kids and my cousin.
She's ready to give you the kids. You don't have to pay any money. She's ready to.
She is?
Yes.
Yeah, I think she is.
She is.
She stopped putting them in her video.
Right. She's ready to let them go. They're teenagers. She wants she's
You
ready.
get both of them.
Yep. You
And
can.
she'll be able to give the baby more attention.
Yep.
Without the big boys in the house.
And they're ready to go too.
They're big. Ivan's 12.
And
Maybe starting-
Rowan's 15. He's soon to be when's Rowan's birthday? When will he be 16?
In summer.
In summer. So he's going to be 16
I'd
in the
like
summer.
to see him before he's 16.
Well, so go see him. He will get on an airplane and come see you. We could go to New York.
It's not really here that I don't like. It's that, I associated them leaving me, or not my kids leaving me. They're not, they're children.
They're young people. They're no longer children. Once you become a teenager,
You can't fuck a little girl who's 16. Their brains aren't fully developed till they're at least 18 and likely, 20.
right?
That's like saying, you might as well, they're not. They don't know. They're children. They're dependent on their parents. They don't really know what they're doing as much. They have a good upbringing. They're good people, but they're not like it. They can't go out and start working and paying their bills or something.
Well, they can. Kids,
No. Not my kids.
Right.
They're not old enough.
I started working when I was 9. I got a paycheck at 9. When I worked for Mike Stoll, he started paying me at
way
9.
Different. I want my kids to live with me as long as they want.
Well, then why aren't they here? This is a great house. They should be here.
I'd like them here every day.
So then get them here. She would send them here tomorrow if you let them.
I'll just write them right now. You know
Right.
what I hear back? Nothing.
Right.
You have to do something special to get a response from them.
Oh,
Give you $100,000. If I sell my house, I might be able to give you $100,000.
John.
She doesn't even respond.
John, that's not true. She said to you that she would send the boys here, and they're going to be, in a month or so, it's going to be summertime. They can come here and spend the summer.
Then how do I make money?
The same way you're making money now.
That's not. I don't want to make money that way unless. Why would I have to make money that way? Why would I have to make money that way?
Well, you can make money anyway. I mean, you can, like I said, educated, have a great curriculum vitae.
Real estate is one of the best ways to make a bunch of money. That's almost a definite way to make a lot of money. If you can get
But you hate real estate. You say you don't like.
That's the thing. I don't like it at all, pretty much. Well, it's possible for it to be okay if I had love again. If I had my wife and obviously my children.
Well, bring your children here. Let them be here. It's a big house. They could have their own rooms. They could run around in the woods. They could, do a lot of things with you.
So did I just, before she says it's okay, just go all the way to Texas?
No. Get them on an airplane.
One time she said.
She said she'd put him on the airplane and fly him here. That's pretty tasty, isn't it?
As soon as she says, okay, they come with you, that's all I need to hear.
She's already said that, John.
Both of them?
Yeah. She's ready to let the boys stay here.
Well, I'd like the chance to see my dream really become a reality.
We can do that too.
With them.
Well, you can do that.
With them.
You can do
Of
it.
course, they're first.
Yep.
Her and the kids are first.
Yep.
God before them.
Yeah.
You're supposed to love God at first.
Yeah.
I had to learn that.
Uh-huh.
But I used to put them first
Oh,
before anyone.
Oh.
I thought, except God. Except God, because I still kind of.
That's good.
Except God.
God is good.
That's still a good laptop.
Yeah. Yep. Still doing the job. Yeah.
You're ready to make good videos.
Yep.
Put
Oh.
in good titles and descriptions,
Yeah. Good titles and descriptions.
and then they can get big and keep on the subject that you make the title and description about.
Yep.
They're trying to make it a little more business minded.
Well, it's what it is, John.
I can't tell what any of your videos are about by looking at the title. I'm not saying there's a way that they can get big.
Yep. Well, they're fine the way they are. You know, I'm using them as a vehicle to get a message out, and you know, if I figure out how to do it better, you know, I'm really what I need is a few of you. We get together, we make a crew. You know, we go on the road, and folks who understand the dynamic of this whole thing, we make it work. You know, let's see who is here. Jane is here. Kathleen. Yep. Prayers. Yep.
I'll go to Los Angeles, be famous.
Woo. Yep.
Los Angeles. Good old Los.
Go get. Yep. Let's see. Yes, I'm back. I never really left. I'm always there.
Be famous.
I'm always there,
The
guys.
Al Bob movie.
Yep. The Al Bob
78.
movie.
He stars in his first big budget movie in theaters.
Yep.
It took him.
I've been in, you know, I've been doing it. Sometimes, you know, wherever I am, wherever you go, there you are. That's me, baby.
Have you ever been to jail?
I've worked in
People talk about that online.
I've worked in jails.
Everyone.
I've worked in
Like
jails.
everyone's a fear for everyone a little bit.
I have worked in jails. I have worked in jails. I've wired jails. I've been a counselor in jails. I've been a minister in jails. So
Did they ever throw you in jail?
nope,
Not even once.
not even once.
Not for DUI.
Nothing. No, well, I don't drink and drive. You know,
Even back then when it was different.
no, even when it was different. Because I saw really terrible car accidents in the 70s by drunk people.
Oh.
I worked in hospitals, so no, I never drank. I don't really I drink, you know, if I'm having dinner with friends, I'll have a glass of wine, you know, but not go and get drunk.
You never went in jail for the night. And then
No,
let you go the next day?
never.
Not even one time.
Not one time. As I said, I worked in jails, you know.
How often do you think people go to jail like for one time?
I'm not really sure. You know, I would say maybe 30% of the population, and I would
You
say
think it's 80%.
80%. No, I'd say 30%. And you know,
You know,
80.
a small thing.
Yeah, so no, you don't go to jail for small things, John.
Sometimes they do.
Mm-mm.
I don't.
No, I mean no,
Okay.
no, because police don't want to deal
I
with
don't
small
want to.
things. They're not just
If
putting
I feel
anybody
really
in jail.
follow God and Jesus,
You know, the cops don't want to put anybody in jail because it's a bother. They have to take care of them. It's, you know, they don't put anybody in jail unless there is a major reason. Now, those major reasons can
why do
be,
people worry about that?
well, the people who worry about it are usually neurotic, or they've done something that's bothering their conscience, one or the other. Those are the two people who worry about it. People who aren't neurotic or haven't done anything wrong, they don't worry about it, you know? They're not worrying, oh my God, I'm going to go to jail. Oh.
But
You
some people may have a phobia.
That's called neurotic. You know, whenever you have a phobia, that's,
It doesn't mean they do
that's a
anything wrong.
neuroses. You know, there's something that doesn't exist that bothers you, you know?
It doesn't mean they did anything wrong.
That's what I'm saying.
What if they worry about cancer? Carcinophobia.
Well, again, that's a neuroses, you know? There's no real, you know, and the more you worry about it, the more you're going to get something that you worry about.
Not
You-
really. That's the secret.
Oh.
It doesn't have to become real just because you think of it. Once you have so much power and might, you can make things real.
No, John. The things
By
that
thinking of
if you let it in your head, you know, whatever thought you have brings words. Whatever words you say bring actions. Whatever actions you say bring outcomes. Whatever those outcomes are the things you have to deal with. And that's the bottom line about life. So if
That's
you
why
keep
we all
good
die.
thoughts, if you keep good thoughts in your mind, good words come out of your mouth. Out of those good words come good actions, you know? So today, right, I spent pretty much 4 hours going all over the place looking for a stupid light bulb and a four gang blank cover and a few other things.
I got a deal.
And in that process, I walked amongst 5 or 6 people who I could see their
I want
energy.
to all laugh at
You know?
somebody else, like somebody else that looks that way, and I can laugh, and it's okay again.
What are you talking about? You want to laugh at other people?
Like they talk, like it sounds like they have like I got a deal.
Why is that funny? That's just how they walk. You know, I talk with a slur. I stutter. You want to laugh at that? You know,
Like it sounds like there's something funny about it, like their nose sounds like, but I don't want to. It's just, why can't I laugh at the expense of others ever? I
why?
never laugh at the expense of others ever anymore, and it feels bad. It has felt kind of bad.
Well, because with empathy, you understand that if you're laughing at somebody else's problems, that is like you should be able to. I mean, I've had enough experiences where if I see someone, instead of laughing at them, I can empathize with them. You know, buddy, I've been through that. Like I met a guy
That's how I
today.
have to be all the time.
What?
Why is it? I'm nice to people.
Good. That's a good thing.
I don't laugh at your expense. Say, you're old, man. I'm too cool because I don't give a fuck.
Uh-huh.
You're. I
Uh,
don't ever say it while you're expecting right now for me to not say anything that way
okay.
because you're not that old. I felt old before too. At my age, I had to accept I'm old to go along with my sister because she has a child who's growing up and she's going to say I'm old now.
You are as old as my father died at 93, right? And 98. And he constantly said, I feel just like I did when I was 16, and he did. He had that bounce in his step, but he had things like he had a blood problem that he had to have his blood changed every 6.
I gotta get out of here.
Okay. And he had a shit problem. He couldn't control his shit. He had diarrhea all the time down his leg, and it would go all over. Like he was not allowed to go into the supermarket or Walmart's because he kept shitting down his pants leg, leaving a trail on the floor.
What does that smell?
What smell? It's called garbage. The bag of garbage in there. I'm going to take it down tomorrow.
That's not garbage.
I washed some clothes. Ugh. I was about to put them in the dryer. I took your clothes out and put it on top of the dryer. And I took care of this, buddy. So this is all.
I don't like laughing at the expense of
So
others.
this is all. Hey, John.
I like it better now that I don't laugh at the expense of others.
Good. So here's everything's fine, right? It's all gone.
Cool. Really? What'd you do to that? Put a thing on it?
Yeah, I put a thing on it.
And a staple on it?
Yeah. It's all good. Safe. It's good.
What do I do with that?
You can paint it, or you can just leave it alone.
Why is it hot?
There's electricity in it. But it's safe. It's safe. Safe the way
That
it is.
makes it look like the whole house is like, okay, don't worry about it. I'll do somebody else do it.
You can cover it up with sheetrock. You can do almost anything with it, but it's safe. That's what's important. It's
You
safe.
didn't put the wire nuts on it?
I put tape around each wire. It's safe. It's more safe than wire. It's safe.
Well, okay, whatever.
It's all good. You can paint it so you can't see it. But it's all safe. Oh. back to it. Hey, gang.
So you're done with all the electricity?
Yep, done with everything.
So
Yep.
don't worry about it.
Don't worry about
I'll
it.
give you some.
Yep.
Yep.
Oh, I'm gonna move the stuff. Yes. Yep. So there you go. A little bit of what I go through every day. And again, it's so Friday was bizarre. You know, I went to the bank, and like I said, the bank was changing from one thing. A corporation bought them out, and their ITs didn't work. So close to 30 million people, their bank cards stopped working without any real, hey, your bank card's going to stop, you know, because they thought they had it together, but they didn't, right? So I went to the bank, and people were in there like, ah! And, you know, and the people behind the cage, and that bank used to be real nice. There was no cage. You just saw that there were the people. Now there's like that much worth of plexiglass between you and them. And they didn't know what, you know, I can't do anything. Then the people at the desks who were supposed to be knowledgeable, they didn't know what to do. They just took information to, I can't do anything. Right. And then the bank manager who I knew walked in. I said, and before anyone got to, I said, hey, what's going on? And she came in. She said, I'll take care of this. And she did everything. And she knew all the codes. And because there was a back door from her being the manager, she could get into stuff. And so I said, so why aren't any of those people doing it? She goes, well, because the protocol that the new company that bought out our old bank said you have to do it this way. And that doesn't work. But there's still this back door that you can go through. And I showed everyone how to do it. And but the protocol says you got to do this. And that's why. So close to, I said, how many people are stuck like, she goes, about 20 million. That was one thing. So then my phone company, because my bank card died, said, oh, you could, you know, and they wanted to know and there was, you know, I'm like living in the woods. They have no idea, right? So they, you know, the person, you know, the robot on the thing, oh, you can't do that, you know? And so that didn't work. And then I went to the store where the kid knows how to do with it. And the bank manager, not the bank manager, but the store manager who was there said, you can't do that. I said, I just want to pay my bill. He said, no, you can't do that. You know, you got to do it on the go talk to the robot. And so I had to wait for that moron to leave for the guy to, it's like, so what's wrong with that guy? He goes, he has no idea what's going on. And he's the bank manager. He's the manager of the store, and he's scared he's going to lose his job. And so he just does what the protocol says, right? So I'm saying, okay. So I was, you know, going to another place, and I was coming out of that place, and a guy cut across 3 lanes of traffic, cut like 10 people off, and I was like merging in, and he didn't even see me. He just right by me. So I just kind of waited till everybody went by and went way over to the other end where there was nobody, and I just kind of went by, and he shot in front of me and started screaming at me, and he was flipping the bird, and again I just kind of slowed down and went another way and got to the light, and he zipped around and came right up and started screaming and flipping the bird at me, and he had all these Jesus stickers on his car. So I lowered my window. I said, Jesus loves you, you know, I'm sorry, I didn't see you trying to, you know, cut across, 4 lanes of traffic and cutting off 20 people because you're so white. You just kind of blend. And it was true because the way he came, the sun was here. He had a white car. He was a white guy, and he was driving in front of a white building. So I didn't quite see him, but I didn't shoot out into traffic. I just waited, and then he like zinged. I mean, if I had gone because I thought I could go, he would have smashed right into me. But I didn't. I waited, and he went by, and the traffic flow went, and they were all over here, and I just went over there and went in front of all of them. And then he got upset that I was in front of him, and he had to curse. And anyway, so I went down to another light, and then he came out, and he by this time he had his gun. He was brandishing his gun and screaming at me, and he was so intent to intimidate me. He basically didn't notice the policeman who was right next to him, and the guy had a gun. So the policeman put on the blue lights and pulled in front of his car and got out with his partner, and they both had their guns out. And I just kept going. I didn't watch the rest of that movie. And then I got back into my neighborhood, and they were fixing the road. And instead of like being all upset, I just stopped, got out, said, so how long is this going to take? And he said, oh, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes. I said, no problem. And I started talking to the other guy, and he says, well, you're kind of nice. Everyone else was like screaming at us for doing our job. I said, yeah, well, you're doing your job. I understand. And so I just sat there. And so then this guy comes out and screams at me about that I'm in his way, that I should, back up all the way down the highway so he can get out. And I said, well, if you just wait 2 minutes, the truck's going to move up, and then I'll move up, and then you can get out. It's a lot easier than me trying to back down a hill, and I can't see. And he said, oh, I'll kill you, man. I'll kill you. Move your car, I'll kill you. And I said, I'm going, what is going on? And I said, it'll be okay. Well, don't talk. Just move. I said, okay, I won't talk. Well, don't talk. I said, okay, I won't talk. Don't talk. Okay, I won't talk. Don't talk. Okay, I won't talk. I said that 15 times. And he went apoplectic. Lucky he didn't have a gun. And it was like, what's going on in the stars, And I'm kind of like Tweety Bird, He don't know me too well, meaning I am a little bit of a cheeky monkey. I will, let's see what we're all saying here. Problem is John doesn't listen. Well, all of us have moments where we don't listen, but because I'm, had all these issues, murdered by a nun, and then I couldn't speak, and I couldn't hear, and I couldn't see, it made me an active listener and an active observer. And then I started, once they took bandages off after 6 months, I said, oh, things are really different. And I started, oh, look, I can see other frequencies. I can understand other things. And so I'm actually quite the listener, right? And see, yes, I am the griot. I tell you a story, but I'm more the listener than I am the talker, right? So, and good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. Welcome to Dreamy Dreamland, and I am your Sensei Al Bob, to be your griot, to tell you a story. Want to get a hold of me? You can get a hold of me at the Dude Awake 42 at Gmail, the Dude Awake 42 at Gmail, and you can understand and see all of that, and read this to John. Go get children, Johnny. Bring them home for the summer. They'll love it. Would make everyone's heart sing. Yes, I've been telling him that for the last 7 years. And his wife has said, take the boys, she teaches them at home. She used them as a prop in her videos. And then, the channel said, hey, that's like child abuse. You can't do that anymore. So she's, had to do that. So now that she can't use them as a prop, she just wants to get rid of them. So it's, It's a sad story. What can I say? Hmm. Yeah, Jesus protects. He does. I have God in my heart and Jesus in my mind, right? And people go, when Jesus comes back, everyone's going to hell except me. No. First of all, Jesus never left. If Jesus left, we would have been toast, right? Jesus is a spirit. He's not a cartoon character. He's not the guy with the blue eyes. And historically, if there was a Jesus, he was a black guy with, he looked like little Eddie Murphy. Jesus protects. Yeah. I mean, the Lord's Prayer is the most amazing of prayers. It's gotten me out of. I mean, I've been in war zones. I've been around the most. I was, a police officer. I was a conflict resolution officer for the New York City Housing Authority, right? And the thing that I was in was their police department. They know the housing authority, because there is no housing authority. All of the 250,000 apartments that were there for low rent people were taken over. All of the projects, especially in Manhattan, were taken over and turned into condos. It's just, yep. There'll be grown-ups. I mean, when she left here about 4 years ago, so it's maybe 5, 6 years ago. The oldest was maybe 9. The middle son was, maybe 6. And the little girl was just born. And the little girl wasn't John's baby. It was some other guy's baby. And, the ex had needs. Yeah, I understand. So they had a little girl. And the guy didn't want that. So he left the picture. And so there was, the oldest boy, the middle boy, and now the oldest boy is almost 16. And the middle boy is 12, soon to be a teenager, 13. And John, she had, at least 4 years ago said, take the boys. And, you all have to come back and live with me. Well, she surely doesn't want to. And a little, and the little girl is like mine. Sorry, John, not really. So he keeps making these demands that can't be made, instead of just realizing what life's about and and having a groovy time with his boys, right? And I don't know if that's a possible thing. I mean, this place would be great for those guys. I just fixed up the guest house, which would be the best thing for the oldest boy. He could have his own place, be the groove dude, and they have 6 bedrooms here, so it's just, but I came back after 2 3/4 years of not being here, or not really being in the scene. And again, I didn't come for John. I came for 20 other groups and people who I was involved with and I cared about, and I helped them motivate in a direction. And as soon as I was gone, they just stayed at that. They didn't do anything, right? So I came back. Oh, you're going to write us that grant? You're going to make us do this? You're going to help us do that? I said, no. What do you mean, no? You always did. I said, that's right. I'm not doing that anymore. You guys, I came back to tell you that you got to, get your act together and move forward, or else stay exactly where you are and have the same shitty life that you have, Either move forward. And that was one of the one thing I saw here, the COVID thing So COVID affected a good portion of the population here. What's really interesting about COVID is in Africa. Africa has only about 8% of all of Africa's continent, has about, a quarter, 3/4 of a billion people there, right? And all of that, 3/4 of a billion people, 80% of them are infected with COVID, right? But only 0.04% died. Only 2% got sick. Only 1% went to the hospital. Now, they have the least inoculated, and yet, yes, everyone has gotten, 89% have been infected, but only, 0.02% died. And those are mostly in South Africa, the white people who got the inoculation. Now, don't believe a word I say. Go check this shit out, right? The other interesting thing is how, NHC and the CDC and a few others won't give back in 20 when they were saying, oh, we have to start, testing everyone, contact testing, which they didn't do. Some guy figured out the best way to do this is not to, stick something up your nose into your brain, but to go to where all of the septic sewage plants are and because each neighborhood has a different pipe going to that place, right? And so you can take all of the sludge coming out there, test the sludge for the COVID, and then you can figure out mathematically how many people are infected in this neighborhood, that neighborhood, and you can get a really good picture of that town or that city or that state by doing that. And it's very cost effective. And you don't have to stick any shit up anyone's nose. You just measure the shit, right? And so they did do that. And this guy who figured that out got a grant, and he did it to show how it works. And then the CDC and other folks, John Hopkins, started doing it. All that data is now proprietarial, meaning they won't share it. And CDC, Fauci said that, Anthony Foreskin, AKA Fauci, said that maybe in 60 years that data will be given up. What? A lot of people already do. It's pretty clear, especially when you look at Africa, And so, that's why there's this war going on in the Ukraine, because the COVID thing didn't work. And so now we have to have this. And so what's going to happen is, Vladimir, he's part of the Globaloney gang, and he's going to start reaching out with his little bots, going after the internet, which the internet was designed to survive nuclear war. So there isn't any singular place that can turn it off. And so, and that's why Elon Musk has his little things up there in space, because my insight tells me that, and the CIA is now having this thing. Oh, yes, listen, there are aliens, and look at these Tic Tac things from the Navy. And we got to think about this. This is a threat. This is, Russia. Get the idea into your guys' heads. Russia, in 1 year, the budget for Russia's defense is what U.S. spends on defense in 1 week. How are they a threat to us? If they're spending what they spend in a whole year, we spend in a week. Just think if that money was spent on national health care or giving education to everyone, or helping people eat. Like, they reduced my food card, by a lot, by about 80%, and the price, what I used to be able to buy for $30 just last year, now costs 70. Now, the luxury thing is that when I go back to Deep Green, I'm going to be mostly eating out of the forest. That's what I do when I'm there, right? So that's not a big deal. I mean, the stuff I'll be able to get is, basically proteins, right? So, but I've stopped eating at restaurants. I've stopped eating, all of the above, right? So, it's an interesting situation, and so in my mind, things, what happened Friday was a good example of how desperate the powers that be are to cause conflict, confusion, and so they can put forth problem, action, solution. It's like, okay, they make a problem, they say this is a problem, and then they offer the solution that they want. And that's what we are heading with. That's what we're experiencing. Hey there, Dragon. Esoteric. Good to see you, bud. Yep. I love you, Dragon. And again, anybody wants to get a hold of me, it's the dudeawake42@gmail. Dudeawake42@gmail. Now, all of my everything is around here. The internet is going woohoo. And I'm heading for the forest, which even has less. I've been on the internet doing a show at least once a day, if not 2 or 3 times a day. And I've discussed a lot of things, and we can bring, it would be fun to have everyone be in one place and us to join forces and do something exciting. But the cadre is all over the planet, not just in the United States, or even, it's like harder to get into Canada than it is to go to England. And Canada is a great example of here's a country of however million people there are, and I don't know any of you been to Canada or how many of you there are in Canada, but they're the greatest, kindest, most respectful folk I've ever met. Cordial, hospitable, gracious, and their government declared martial law and went after some of the hardest working people who are just saying, instead of declaring martial law, why didn't, Mr. Trudeau just go and talk to them? They drove all the way across the country to talk to him. And first they were, not in town. And for the first month, they were like at a truck stop over there. And they were feeding the homeless and doing all kinds of nice socially active things and have dance parties. And I mean, if you see some of the stuff that's on YouTube, it's kind of fun. And that was in the middle of winter. And all that Trudeau, first off, hid himself for 2 weeks, right? In an undisclosed place because it was treacherous, those treacherous people. And that they were Nazis. They weren't Nazis, come on. And the police said it themselves. The most respectful, kind, considerate, of all the people, that's the capital. They've had loads of people coming there and with signs and placards and the truckers were the nicest. Love and gratitude, even to those who have ill will towards me. Yep. And Dragon, no one has ill will towards you, buddy. Especially here in the cadre, no one has ill will towards you. Yep, I need a flying platform. Yep. But what I'm really saying is that everyone, wherever you are, in every day, in every way, take the piece of the earth and make it stronger by being your best self. Like Friday, it was like going off the hook, nuts. I enumerated the situation, and you know, all I was like, look at that. That's pretty freaking amazing, right? And yes, when the guy said, don't talk. And I said, okay, I won't talk. Don't talk. Okay, I won't talk. Don't talk. And I said that for 15 times. Don't talk. Okay, I won't talk. Yes, I can be a cheeky monkey when people do shit like that. It's like, really? You're going to, okay. You can't wait 3 minutes for this guy to pull his truck up so I can move up 100 feet so you can get out easily. You want me to back down a hill, a steep hill, and the road is in bad condition. Two, 2/3 of a mile. Just, can't you wait 3 minutes? I'll kill you. Really? You feel that threatened? And that's how I was talking. Stop talking. Okay, I'll stop talking. Stop talking. Okay, I won't talk. Oh, stop talking. Okay, I'll stop talking. That's about as bad as I get. And it's that cheeky monkey in me, it's like, and so, it's all a lesson. Yep. That's what it is. It's all a lesson. Yeah. But so, and every day and every way, we do our best. That's all we can do is our best, right? We're not perfect. So don't, stress yourself out to be perfect, And, being aggro isn't good for us, and it doesn't get us anywhere. And yes, I'm from New York, and the last thing that I've had to let go is my New York driving. And I let go of it pretty much 96%, about 4% sometimes. I can be a little, got to get there. But, I pretty much realized, 1988 to 90, I worked as a volunteer fireman and EMT and surgical rescue, right? And so I saw a lot of like war zone bad accidents, which, gives you a point to think. Like I took this course on how to drive a fire truck, right? And in it, they said, don't speed, go the speed limit because, your fire truck is within a 10 to 20 mile radius of where you're working. So doing the speed limit or like doing 20 miles over the speed limit won't get you there in a modium of time. That makes a difference, right? And so, pretty much I don't speed. And the other thing is I keep like 6 car lengths between me and the next guy. And I turn my phone off. I turn everything off. I don't listen to if I'm on the highway going 100 miles, yeah, I'll turn the radio on and listen to music, right? But I do not do anything to distract myself from driving because I'm in a, 2-ton vehicle that, moves, if you're doing faster than 10 miles, if you're doing faster than 4 miles an hour, you can do some serious damage with your car, right? So if you're on the highway doing 60, you don't want to distract yourself. And I've seen, I went to a thing and we cut a guy out and his cell phone was jammed right up through his eye into his brain, right? He was like looking at it and he hit, smashed into the back of a truck, and the steering column first pushed and he got himself an indestructible case for his iPhone, and that indestructible case went through his eye socket into his brain. Now, the powers should be Google and Apple already want to put chips in your brain. It's you don't want to do it that way. So I take great lengths to be safe. Pretty about 98% of everything I do. Yes, 2% of the stuff I may put myself at risk because I don't realize that I'm putting myself at risk, but I'm kind of keeping an eye out. I have my, conscious awareness going, right? So, being in a rush always puts me in a situation. Yep. It's never good to be in a rush. I mean, when I work, whatever I do, I'm always very conscious of everything I do. And as an electrician, as a photographer, as a consultant in social sciences, in a healer, in all the different hats I wear, I'm always very conscious. I mean, you just watch me dealing with John. I'm being very conscious about everything I do and say. Right? I know it has an effect. So if we do that, we move forward in that way, we can change the world. Then if we actively do things, my grandma had 28 rules, she had some really great ones. And the three that I basically run on, and one is to live like a millionaire but not be one, right? My dad spent a good 80 years of his 98 years actively, everything. He wanted to be a millionaire in the worst way, and it took him 40 years. And he was having a pretty good life. He was a football star. He was, he got to go to college because of his football skills. I tried not to talk. Thanks for your moments of wisdom. I will listen more. Thanks. And and the other thing, live like a millionaire, don't be one, right? Or work at being one. Two, if you're employed, there's a difference between being an employee and a entrepreneur. Entrepreneur doesn't expect a paycheck, right? He has a value. He or she has a value of what they do, right? And that's what it's about, right? Understanding that value of what they do. Everything I do has great value. Why I'm doing this show, I'm not like, oh, I will be. Meaning, it's quite interesting. Has anyone heard from Buddy lately? Buddy said to me months ago, when I kind of said, I look at when I finish the show, when I end the stream and then exit, all of the statistics show up. How many people have watched, how many people were on the chat, how long people watched, and the accumulated hours, And so right now it's 1 hour and 18 minutes. Right now there's 4 people like on the chat, right? And there's 4 thumbs up. So how about some more thumbs up? How about some more subscribers? Hit that little bell, right? It's quite interesting. Every time I get close to 500, it drops down by 100, not 20 or 30, by 100. And I one time I was trying to do like, having a marathon. I was trying, come on, let's get past, and it went past 500, and it was heading towards 600, and it dropped down 300 during the show. Like 300 people stopped subscribing. Anyway, Buddy said to me when he was watching this, he goes, you're doing something right, and so. Yes, so this ain't going viral. I don't expect it to. I don't care about it. I'm not seeing it monetized, I live on $400. I live like a millionaire on $400. Yes, you want to throw something in my PayPal, do it. When that PayPal guy said, so who do we send it to? The dude awake 42 at Gmail. Please, that would be very nice. It's still my birthday. It's my birthday. It's my birthday. Still February. I'm still an African American that's melanin challenge. I'm still celebrating. I mean, why should we celebrate African Americans just 1 month? I used to work for the at the patent office. One summer, I got a gig. I got a buddy who was one of the patent librarians, and this was during the Vietnam War, and I needed a place to hang in D.C. while I was sussing out the war, right? And when I say the war was still going on, it was 1976. You know, and I was there. The Vietnam War did not end until 1981, meaning because the war wasn't just in Vietnam; it was Southeast Asia, so Thailand, Cambodia, Malaysia, all of the places around Vietnam were affected. Cambodia, they lost 6 million people, right? Pol Pot was, a CIA, robot, and that war was more about heroin, the control of heroin, and the control of oil, and the control of tourism, right? And because it's one of the most beautiful places, and we defoliated most of it. Agent Orange still is affecting, especially the poor kids. I mean, there's close to 20 million people who were genetically, they instead of an arm, they have a flipper. And it always amuses me when we get on our high horse. Vlad is going into the Ukraine, and he's attacking a sovereign state. Well, we kind of did that to Italy. We kind of did that to Iran. We kind of did that to Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, Libya, Venezuela, El Salvador, Nicaragua, Chile, Brazil, Mexico, Jamaica, you name it, we did it, right? The guy in Sweden, we knocked their president off. Just a laundry list of unbelievable things. And the CIA, when it was started by Harry Truman, it was supposed to be just an intelligence gathering. They have their own Air Force, their own Army, their own, it's like, and they have a black budget that's like, a quarter of, the defense, more, the CIA alone has a bigger budget than Russia has. It's just, and these things are right in our face, and no matter what country you live in, this is, I mean, if I lived in Australia for 3 years. I visited New Zealand for a few months. I went to all of those countries in that whole Ansett Alliance neck of the woods in the 70s. And, I went to, Don and I went to Australia in 77. The Vietnam War was still freaking going on, And, they have technology. I worked in national laboratories. I saw the technology in the 1960s. They had technology. They had free energy. They had dimensional. Everything that was in Star Trek in 1968, we had already. It's like, and, everything that Stan Lee put in his comic books. Captain America is exactly what happened at the end of World War II. Germany, the German people bombed into the Stone Age once again, but the Nazis won the freaking war. They through Operation Paperclip, 70,000 of them came in and took over our government. That's why the CIA is, what it is. That's why NASA is what it is. That's why we have Stellar Warden and all of the above. It's like what it is. I gave us when I was at the UN with my little NGO, my alternative technology NGO, and we the first thing we did, our whole little mission statement, was to change the world with simple technologies, things that were aesthetically adept and appropriate, right? Our first little project, and we had this great office. They stuck us in a closet, right? We, instead of getting one of the nice NGO offices, we had this closet, and the closet was the engineering room, where all the air handlers and all that stuff was. But I don't know if you know the UN building, but it looks like the 2001 monolith, right? It's this kind of, rectangular shoebox thing that goes up about 60 stories. And these two sides are total glass, and the two ends are these white kind of, not mica, crystal, quartz kind of weirdness at the ends. Very reflective, very interesting. And so the office we got was like on the 30-something floor, and it was one of the air handler. Every 12 floors there was one of these things that had no windows except the ends, right? But it was the whole length of the building, and the air handlers on this one, instead of like every 20 feet and you couldn't use the space, was just down at one end, right? And it was pushed against the wall. And so it was about 30 feet wide and about 200 feet long. That was our office. So we had all these tables that, I went down to their basement and looked at all their furniture, and they spent so much money. Like every 2 or 3 years, they redo everything in IKEA, and so they had a ton of stuff that they could have given away to a lot of people, but they just had it in their basement. So we had these great tables that had these kind of lab kind of shelves. So we pushed them against the wall, and they had these great swivel things. We got a nice chunk of carpet, coffee table, really luxurious, and it's just like when I describe you going into your Akashic record, and in front of the fireplace was the lounge chairs. And so we set up our lounge right in front of one of the air handlers, and one of our little experiments was how it kind of rumbled, not really annoying, but very comfortable. It's moving like 18 zillion cubic feet of air every minute. And so we used Anaconda. We got this foam, and we cut them in different shapes to absorb the frequencies. So we nulled that space out. So you went in there, and it took out all the sound of the horns and traffic down below on 2nd Avenue, and whatever boats were on the East River, and the air handlers, and whatever noise the building was making. But the frequency of our conversations was there. But just around, it was like the cone of silence, So if you sat in these nice things, within the cone of silence of the nice carpet that we had with the coffee table and these nice lounge chairs, you could have a nice conversation. If you walked off the carpet, you couldn't hear a word people said, right? And you couldn't, in that whole space, you couldn't hear those kind of noises. But if someone was within 8-9 feet of you, you could have a conversation. But 12 feet away, you couldn't hear anything, right? So that's kind of how I hear normally. So anyway, so that was our first, we were given our, appointment to have the NGO, and we were called Alternative Technology, right? That was our NGO, and our mission statement was, or our logo was peace through, adept and appropriate technologies. Peace through adept and appropriate technologies, right? So anything that dealt with war, not adept and appropriate, right? But everything else, free energy, you name it, we did it. So. But at the ends, we had floor to ceiling, 30 feet high windows, and 20 feet wide, just all windows. So we also had our workstations right at these windows. If you wanted to look at in Manhattan, you were on that side, 200 feet away. You wanted to look at the East River, you were on that side. And I liked facing the sun. Some guys didn't like the sun, and some liked that view of Manhattan, Empire State Building and Midtown. And there was 34th Street, and there was Tudor City, that they had a street that went sideways that you could see Central Park. So that side had a very nice view of everything from the Battery up to 59th Street, and you got a good shot of Central Park and everything in between. but the other side was all the East River and Brooklyn, right, and Queens over there. And so that's where I had my little cubicle, and not a, just a big desk facing the window, nice chairs stretched around it, another couple of work tables where I had stuff around, and we had, this was in the 70s. So we had access to the internet, but they didn't call it the internet, the World Wide Web. I don't know if it was around by then, but we could talk to Johns Hopkins. We could talk to MIT. We could talk to Stanford. We could talk to Chicago. We could talk to a number of, and in Europe too, we could talk to different, the people in Scotland. There's a nice university there we could talk to. There was, the other two big English universities. So, and there was in London, there's a technical school, and in Australia there was a technical school too. That was quite interesting. So we had community online, but they didn't quite call it the internet. And so it was quite interesting, quite exotic, and so the first project we had. I'm going to go to my little cubicle because it's starting to get nippy here. And if I got to tell stories, I don't want to be cold. I think I might take a banana with me. So, Take the door in. Get the light. Ooh, it's nice and toasty in here. What's this? Know what that is? I'll look later. But anyway, there we were up on the 30-something floor of the UN building, and we're all thinking about, what's going to be our first, and we really wanted to, hit the ball out of the park, right? And so and our major, there were lots of other NGOs, and the one that we kind of worked the most with was UNICEF, right? Because they're already out there on the ground trying to do stuff, good stuff. They were actually a pretty good crew. So we asked them, so what is the biggest problem of the third world starving people? And they said the biggest problem is water, potable water that won't kill you, because close to 1 million to 6 million people die every year of just drinking water, microbes, all kinds of little bacteria and poisons and toxins and little creatures, and you name it. Water is the biggest problem. I said, okay. And so I don't know which one of us came up with it, but someone asked the question. So in an environmental way, in garbage, we were already thinking about garbage. We were thinking about water, garbage, a septic, where shit was going, right? And so we said, okay, water is a big problem. What, in America, in Europe, in Japan, industrialized nations, they have these gigantic garbage pits. And you go to Mexico or Brazil, and it's just off the hook with the garbage. So what is it plastic bags? Is it soda cans? What's the real? The soda cans, they said, not a problem because people just pick them up, crush them, and turn it into money. But the plastic soda bottles, and they said, we have these 2-liter, in Africa, they have these 2-liter soda bottles, and people buy soda because it's, cleaner than water, right? And I said, don't they sell water? And they said, no, just soda. I said, really? So I said, so there are all these bottles? And they said, yes. And I said, can you send us some of these bottles? I want to look at it. So they did, they and they didn't like send them from Africa. They just, found the same kind of bottles that were in America. And so they sent us a bunch of those. And we were talking to John Hopkins and who else were we talking to? Those guys in Pennsylvania, they were another crew, the robot people. And so we basically realized that the 2-liter bottle that was in Africa, that's a garbage problem, actually is a pretty good container of water. And they had, most of the bottles they had were clear, right? So I took these clear bottles and I was walking to work one day and Con Ed was ripping the street apart and it was raining. And they had these big mud puddles all over the place. So I went and got a big bag, garbage bag, and I filled them full of, water from the mud puddles. I thought that's disgusting water. So, that's a good, thing. So I had about 30 or 40 of these and I had a couple of people helping me. It only took me to carry those bottles down in a garbage bag, but fill them up with water, they're a little heavy. So I had some people help me bring them back up to our place. And, we took the samples out and went over, talked to John Hopkins. And again, I took some of those bottles, with the water to them. And I said, I want you to break this down and tell me what's in them, right? So they did. And then we started taking, water from all over the place. And we started getting it in the septic sewage kind of stuff. And I called up New York City's waste disposal folks and asked them about, how they measure it, what's in it, blah, 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 right? So they did it, So I'm getting all this data on all the different buggies that are in water, right? And so I have them all stacked up on this desk that's facing the East River and the sun's coming through. And I'm seeing, the sun going through these bottles of water. And I'm going, sun, UV kills little buggies. Okay. So I called up John Hopkins and said, so what kind of data you got on UV's effect on these the things that make people sick in drinking water? And they said it. And I said, and then I called up the city. So do you use UV to, go after the bugs? And they said, well, in certain areas, yes, but it's, we want to kill the bugs like in 20 seconds. We don't have, to expose drinking water to UV, that water would have to sit around for at least 24 hours, if not 48. And you'd have to kind of filter it, expose it to UV for 24, filter that water, and then expose that to UV for 24, and then filter it, and then expose that to UV. And yeah, maybe around then, but we want to kill those things like in 20 seconds. We don't have 48 hours or 80 hours to waste doing this. And I go, well, poor people in India and Africa probably do have that kind of time. So we did some experiments. We took that crappy water, we put it in the sun on my desk, and then we had a funnel and we had cheesecloths and we filtered the gook out. And so now this was like gook kind of water. And then it was like just cloudy water, UV. Then we did it the next day again with the funnel and the cheesecloths, and now it's clearer, UV. And then the third day we did it again, put in UV, and then we sent it off to John Hopkins, and they said, this is totally potable water. So we contacted UNICEF and said, okay, send some of your people who write protocols for the people in these countries that they could follow, and let's try this out. We did. So we said, go collect clears, 2-liter things, fill it up with water from your nearest thing, and do this. Not everyone had a funnel, not everyone had cheesecloth, but everyone had something that they could, make into that, cardboard and your T-shirt or whatever, right? And so, again, we tried all of that, all the different ways you could do it. UNICEF was part of that and did that with us. And we made these protocols. We sent them off to all these different countries, and we made them all in different languages and all sensitive to different cultural motifs, right? And so within 6 months, we had close to 100 million people doing this process. Within a year, the rate of death, especially in babies, infants, and young children, went down unbelievably by millions. That was our first little project in our NGO. And we basically were saving millions of people's lives simply by doing that. Not any big thing, not raising billions of dollars, but using a thing that was environmentally like this 2-liter clear plastic bottle. So they were doing it, and it was getting better and better, and people were like being happier and happier, and there's less conflict, less stress, less all of the above. What happened? The corporate world somewhere decided to put something in those soda bottles that cut the UV from going through that plastic into the water. So it stopped working. And that's when I quit. And we did other things. We made, one of the other problems was defoliation because people cutting down forests to cook food. And we made simple solar ovens with aluminum foil and cardboard boxes that could cook just as good without wood or a fire. It was quite interesting, right? I could cook anything, right? And if you got more specular materials and a little better insulation, it would cook even better than fire. So no smoke in the house, no having to deal with the charcoal, no cutting down trees, right? And so we did that one. That worked out pretty good. And basically, they did it for a while, and then they stopped doing it, right? What we're talking about. Breakaway civilization, giving humanity the internet like beads to the Indians. Yep. Yes, indeed. Time to dream. Wonderful space later. Yep. Definitely a space cadet. Drag. Yes. And all we have to do within the construct of what Jamie and Dragon have said is just to be our best. That's what we have to do. We don't have to be perfect. Just do our best in what we want to do. Meaning, I do a lot of stuff. I mean, pretty much everything I do, I put into context of I want to do this. Working, helping John is like going to the dentist, but I wanted to do it. This is, I've been here over 60 days. I came here 2 days after New Year's, so however many days that is, I've been here for about 60 days, give or take, a little more probably, and a little less, who knows? But and it's but I did my best, and I am I'm moving on. I'm soon to go to the deep green. And yes, it'll be a little cold for the next few weeks, but spring it's here. And each, instead of being 18 degrees below zero during the day and 20 degrees below zero at night, it'll be 40 during the day and maybe 35 at night, and maybe some days 18, but very infrequent, and it'll get warmer and warmer. The days are definitely like right now. What time is it now? It's 6:11, and the sun is still sunny out there. The sky is still illuminated, right? And when I started talking on this thing, I was back in December at the winter solstice, and a day of the year, the darkest day of the year. And I said, okay, from this point on, things are going to change. And and then there were a whole bunch of astronomical things that happened about a week before Christmas and about a week after New Year's. And that 2.5 weeks, lots of things were going up, things were going in opposite direction, in conjunction, and the this and the that. And, I could feel all of this. I'm not the astrologer that I have some pretty amazing astrologer friends. But I can feel this stuff. I kind of like it when we do that. And so, what's his name was saying, oh, you should get hair implants. No, this is fine. I like this look. And it's just getting, a little bit longer, and it'll not pop up anymore, right? Pretty much. So anyway, the technology is there. The issue isn't technology. It isn't even money. It isn't even politics. It is this essence of fear and the need to be powerful. I don't need any kind of control. Because I'm at ease. When you're at ease, when you're in the flow, that's what it's about, right? Now you have to understand that there are certain constructions and constrictions and issues that you do have to say, what about this, right? And let's try to deal with that. But we do it through what we do, because by doing our best, no matter what you do, by doing your best, you will affect everything around you, period, right? And by doing your best is you should, one of my other grandma's rules is never work for someone unless they need you more than you need them, right? That they need you more than you need that paycheck. And that's me. And when I worked in the corporate world, when I was the itinerant scholar, I got paid to be the itinerant scholar, and still am the itinerant scholar, but I don't so much get paid for it anymore, because pretty much everything I did is now being done by an app. Not as good as I did it, not as thoroughly as I did it, not with the integrity that I did it with, but all those things don't matter to the corporate world. And as long as they can make more profit by the nanosecond, they don't even care about the quarter anymore, whether their business collapses, 2 weeks from now, they don't care, as long as they're making more money this nanosecond, right? And that is why we are where we are. Gandalf. Yes, I'm no longer Gandalf the Grey. I'm Gandalf the White. But I'm actually an African American that is melanin challenged, because I was bred by my mama, who was a black goddess, and she was one of my grandma's good friends. She lived above from my grandma. My grandma was 62. She wasn't going to breastfeed me, but mama was 35, and she had a little baby, so she had big breasts, and she needed to get them milked. And so I can still remember, me and M, we'd be on each nipple, and I still am close to M. There's something about having a friend that's 72, 73 years. She's older than I am by 6 months, so she's about 74. And, it's, and she is great. I mean, man, she has quite the, curriculum vitae, she has quite the, all the things she's done. It's pretty friggin' amazing. And she's a great grandma. She had 4 kids. Those 4 kids, all of them had at least 3 kids, and all of those kids had at least 3 kids. I mean, she's got a big crew, and they're all successful, all doing great. And because when we grew up in Harlem, nobody was looking for a handout. They were up for a hand up, not a handout. And the hand up didn't come from the state or the government or the church or anybody, but from the neighbors. everyone was helping everyone succeed. Everyone was moving and that moving on up. So, and that was the story, you know. And we are being pushed into a position where, oh, you're not going to own anything, and you'll get everything from the state. Man, when you're in that, it's called prison. You know, Johnny was going, have you ever been in jail? No, you know, I've worked in jails. You know, I've been, you know, I built, you know, I wired jails. I wired a jail. You know, they're expanding the jail, and they had to have a guard with me because I had my box of tools. And if I was up on a ladder and some guy took one of my screwdrivers, you know, not a good idea. So there was, you know, guys. And so I was in that jail wiring things up, and I was, you know, hanging out with them. And they, you got a cigarette? No, don't. And I'd be up on a ladder. They go, you got a cigarette, man? I said, no, I don't smoke. And I'd then go, let me read your palm. And I'd read their palms. And I got basically the whole prison to come see me for me to read their palms. And then I started, you know, that was, you know, I used to be a shrink. And my little hook, because everyone hates shrinks. And because they're neurotic and they're sick. Most shrinks are the most craziest, fucked up people I ever met. And I worked for this one guy. He goes, you're really great, but you have to string these people out. I mean, you can't just deal with their problems and get them out the door within 4 or 5 visits. We want them here for years. So because, you know, I you know, that swimming pool and the kids are going to college and I want my house in the mountains and I want to buy an XKE. And but no, you know, we're here to serve people's needs and make them well. You know, doctor do no harm. He goes, you know, I'm not doing anything. I'm just making money. You know, that's why I quit. And when a guy said that, he goes, listen, you're really good at what you do. You know, just, you know, string them out and we're going to put you on the board. We're going to make you one of us. And I said, I quit. He goes, what? I said, I don't want to be you. You are fucked up. What? What are you talking about? I'm a very prestigious. I said, fuck off. I quit. What? You know, I went back to being an electrician. So anyway, so there I'm wiring this, you know, jail up, and instead of giving him a cigarette or letting them steal my screwdriver so they can kill someone, let me read your palm. So I started reading everyone's palms, and then the OG showed up. Man, read my palm. So I would. I said, okay, over here, just you and me. Anyway, so I started doing that, and, you know, so I was working for this contractor, being Mr. Electric, but I was doing controls, not bending pipe and stuff like that. I was terminating. So I was keeping an eye on the other rest of the crew so they didn't screw things up or sell their screwdrivers or, you know, whatever. I mean, it was just off the hook, right? So anyway, the guy who was, you know, the head of the prison came and said, I kind of looked into who you are, and you have a degree in psychology. Would you want to be our counselor? I said, well, I am working for this guy as an electrician. He goes, well, we probably couldn't pay you what he is, but you can do both. Can you do both? You know, you know, we really have a need for someone like you on the weekends, you know, and if you did it from like Friday afternoon from 4 o'clock till Monday morning at 10, you know, we give you, there's an apartment we have that's very well protected, and you could, you know, you're staying at a motel. You could stay here. You would blah 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 blah. I said, okay, yes, that sounds like will work out for everybody. So I did for like, you know, the next 4 months. I still was during the, you know, work week, Mr. Electrician, because he needed me so, because by the time when I bumped into him, he was so in the hole. He was, you know, about to like be sued by the state. He had fucked everything up because he was so, you know, he couldn't make any of the controls work. You know, in a prison, all those doors are electrically, everything is electrically controlled, and he couldn't make any of the video work. He couldn't make nothing work. And I said, I can, you know, and he was so far. I mean, all the, you know, concrete was poured, all the pipe was in, the wire was pulled, but nothing was, you know. I said, okay, I'll take over this job. I'll run the crew, and I will do all the terminations. I want this much money. He was like, I never paid anybody that much, but if you pay me, I will guarantee this job will get done 100%. by the time it's supposed to be done, and you'll make $1 million. Yes, you're paying me pretty well, but instead of getting sued, and he says, you're right. Okay. And most people are so stupid, so stuck on their ego. I don't need you. I said, good, have fun. Good luck. So I was there about a month, and I was doing, just so these guys wouldn't screw with me. I thought, well, let me read your palm. And then I would give them insight, and then all the OGs and, everyone was coming. And that's when the guy who, ran the place said, can you do this for us? I said, sure, and we worked it out. So and he could pay me really well for that weekend because nobody wanted to be there on the weekend. And it was totally unstaffed. And basically that's all I did was, I had this office. It was like a big room, not an office, a big room. I just had a lot of people in there. We had a lot of talking, had a lot of, and there was Bloods and Crips and all different gangs. And I said, listen, much better if you guys get along here, because the conflict just serves the man. You know this. You're smart people. You're in here because you're smart people, not because you're dumb, because you're smart. They're going after you for a reason, right? And so I did that, right? So for 3 months, I was, during the work week, I was Mr. Electric. On the weekend, I was a Dr. Phil, right? Dr. Al Bob, right? So, yeah. So I was, I know what a jail is. And, a black male population makes up 6% of, well, not even, I think, somewhere between 3 and 6% of America's population are black males, right? Or even less. But they're 60% of the prison population. There's, demographically right there, that's hey, look at this. So, someone John, did you ever go to jail? No, jail, because I'm not scared of policemen. I know I work for police. Whenever I go to a town, one of the first things I do is go to the police department and walk in and say, "Hey, chief, how you doing? I'm Al Bob. Let me read your palm." And I do, and he goes, "Wow, that's pretty amazing." I said, if you have anybody you want me to talk to, I'm always here to serve, and they always do. I work for an entity called the BBI, and it makes the FBI look like, child's play, because it is. FBI is just, it's like your average police force historically was there just to protect rich people. The FBI is just there to protect the status quo, right? Now, there's certain elements in the FBI that is quite amazing. They have some people there that do an amazing job, and that's where the BBI, Quantico came from the BBI. BBI came from Tavistock Institute, the inventors of propaganda and advertisement. So that has to be breaking point at some point. Well, the breaking point is every second that you're not doing your best. That's the breaking point, right? And things are so controlled that there is nothing that is organic. There is nothing that is on television. There's nothing in the media. There's nothing in the political structure that isn't orchestrated and scripted. There is nothing. Like a good example is when, Jack got whacked in 1963. I was 13 years old. And from birth until about 10, I was sick. I was always sick. And then, when I was 7, a nun murdered me, crushed my esophagus, broke the left orbit of my eye, my eyeballs hanging out, crushed the little bones in my ear, so I was deaf in this ear, and, smashed my little skull like a melon, It took me about 4 years to get over that. And, for 2.5 years of physically my head was in a helmet, squishing it back together. I had a patch over this eye. I had this ear muff on this ear, and my mouth was wired shut for 6-7 months. And you can hear how I talk because I don't talk, my esophagus is like going ways that most people's esophagus don't go. So the wind doesn't go over my voice box like most people's, right? So I just talk like this all the time. I had to relearn how to talk. Right. So, but that made me a better listener, a better speaker, because to get over my stutter. And so my godfather sent me off to, I lived in a sanctuary, a Maryknoll sanctuary, about 20 priests and about 30 nuns. And they lived together in a community, right? It was, and they didn't wear the neck bracelet or, the habit or any of that crap. They wore street clothes, right? And they served the people. And they were all scholars, everyone, men and women. Most of the mathematicians were women, right? And half of them were working for NASA, and that was, that was in late 50s, early 60s, before Jack was elected. Anyway, so there was an audiologist who taught me how to hear again. And there was a speech pathologist who taught me how to speak, right? And how to get over my stutter. And how I get over my stutter is that I am very specific with every word I speak. And I use shamanic energy, which is concentration and focus, conscious intent I am, conscious awareness I am, to speak. Otherwise, I speak like that. But I don't. But if you listen closely to how I do speak, you will see how I have a pattern of speech that is very specific. And the words I use are very critical and clear to be exactly what I am communicating, right? Not trying. I don't try, I do. I may not be perfect, but I do my best, right? So, I had, this catastrophe that happened to me, from 7 to about 12, right? And at 10, I said, that's it. I'm not getting sick again, And yes, it took, another 2 years to not get sick again. Now, I have died a number of times, but gunshot wounds, car crashes, other ODs, things of that nature. But they were just little momentary, oh, look at this. Okay. Points of view, right? Now, none of them were a place that was, a breaking point. They were just a point of view. I go, look at this. Okay, this is what's going on, right? So, when Jack got shot that October day, it was a beautiful day in Long Island. And so for most of my, when we went to this neck of the woods, and I went to this new school system in third grade, and I had this interesting group of friends who were all the others, there were all these cliques in this school because they'd taken all these other grammar schools and stuck them together. So all the cliques were all these different grammar schools. The, 8 of us, so 10 of us, were the 10 of the 300 or 600 kids that were in this grammar school, centralized grammar school, that weren't from other grammar schools. That we, like me, I came to this neck of the woods. The first day I go to school, I'm in third grade, right? So I have no clique, no table to sit at in the lunchroom. So I went to that. Don't sit here. Don't sit here. So I sat at a table by myself, and I sat down, and this kid came. Are you new here too? I said, yep. Oh, can I sit? Yep. So within 2 or 3 weeks, there was a group of us, 4 girls, 6 guys, and maybe 5 girls and 6 guys, or 11 of us. And we were all the other. And we were the most, I had these friends, and there's still a number of them that are still my best friends. It's still, 60 years later, right. So, but I was a sick kid, to around that. I was getting over being the sick kid, but I was still a little peanut. So I was invisible and I didn't speak a lot. I listened. Right? And so, put my hat back on. Ooh, a few of these. So when I talk, dries my esophagus, not just my throat, my esophagus. Anyway, so I was in third grade when Jack got whacked. No, maybe I was older. Maybe I was in the fifth grade. Maybe I was even in seventh grade. But anyway, somewhere around there. Somewhere between fifth and seventh grade. I'd have to work it out. But anyway, but third, fourth grade, I was still a sick kid, but once they kind of, I was sent off to be tested, he said, wow, this guy's off the chart. So pretty much for third grade, they didn't know what to do with me. So they let me go to the library and read books. And I read the whole library in that 1 year, right? And the librarian, who was really a brilliant person, was my teacher, right? And Mr. Morales was the science teacher. And so, I like science. So he would come and visit me in the library. And Mr. Diamond was the art teacher. So I would go down and hang with him. And Mr. Bukowski was, I don't even think they have this anymore, but he was the, they didn't call it, he was the shop teacher, but it was way more interesting because he was all about computers. And he was about doing drafting, right? Geometry and milling. They actually had a Bridgeport. So in third, fourth, fifth, sixth grade, I learned how to use a Bridgeport. So I could go get a job working in a union shop, probably making $20 an hour in 1962. Anyway. So when Jack got whacked, so where we lived, we went from living in New York to living in Freeport, Long Island, which is a very city-fied suburban town. There's two cities in Long Island, Glen Cove and Freeport, and they were rich people towns, right? And Freeport was in a transition of all the people coming from New York. And a lot of Black and Hispanic coming who were doing pretty good and didn't want to live in New York City, but wanted to live in the Long Island Railroad. You could jump on the railroad and get into New York in 20 minutes, right? So they could put the kids out in the country-ish suburbs and, better-ish schools, but not really. The New York City schools were still pretty good. Anyway, so when we moved from there, and then we moved further east on Long Island, right where Suffolk and Nassau County was, right where the rich people were and the farms were. There are farms there that made more potatoes than Idaho. So anyway, out there, and that's third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade, and so, and in 63 when Jack got whacked. So I was a really sick kid, man. And so there were a lot of times, that third, fourth grade, I wasn't in school. But all the time I did spend in the library, these other teachers teaching me stuff. And I was really good. I just soaked it up, did really good. And I had this crew of friends that we were really interesting. And so that crew, instead of being in these other different classes, we all went to the library and we were excelling like a rocket ship, right? So instead of we were first thought, because they were Black and Hispanic and kids who had autism, girls who were like, and poor kids, and we weren't, the upper middle class that most of these other kids were. or farm folk that owned farms. So they were they were landed gentry, but they weren't going to private schools over there. So anyway, because those were for the rich people. So we were this interesting group because all the really interesting teachers wanted to teach us. All the other teachers who were like just going through the motions dealt with the other, 300 and something kids. So we had an amazing, we were together but separate in our friendships and our schoolings, right? And we all had homerooms that we were all different, but we all ended up in the library by 10, right? And then we hung out. So it was quite interesting because we were getting truly an extraordinary school, and everyone got a lot of slack, because we were all different, really different. So the day, so a lot of those days I wouldn't show up because I'd be sick, I'd be at home. Right? And so when I was in fourth grade, so we lived out there, so we had to, and we were like the first person on the bus, so we had to get up early, and school started like 8:30, so we had to be out there and get on the bus, at 6:45. The bus went all over the place, and then finally, so we had to be at the bus stop, sometime just before 7, right? 6:45 to 7, the bus would come, so we had to get out there. And my mom was not a morning person. My dad would basically shine our shoes and we always got peanut butter and jelly and an apple in a paper bag. That was it for lunch. And, 50 cents, so I could buy a carton of milk or whatever. And anyway, so maybe a quarter because this is the 50s and early 60s. So anyway, my mom wasn't there, and my dad was already on the train going to work, right? So he basically, actually, he would drive to work. He had this nice, Oldsmobile. And so, when we got up, there was nobody there to do this, do that. There was nobody to do that. Right? So my brothers and sisters, who were all older than me, two of my older brothers and sisters were already in college. My other were in high school, and one was in middle school, right? So anyway, we, so I had to get myself, no one would say, hey, do this, do that. My brothers and sisters, basically ignored me, which was fine by me. And so I don't know what it was, but one day I was just getting ready and I had my sock shares, and they just kind of started I started just, taking the sock, doing this against my leg. And that is a technique to do auto hypnosis, to hypnotize yourself. There are different parts of your body. If you just put a hand on somebody, you can hypnotize them. So anyway, I did this to myself, didn't even know it. And this is when I learned how to meditate, because I went into hypnagogic state, which was just next door to meditation. So I was doing this, and I would be there for hours, right? So my mom at 11 or 12 would like the phone would ring, and where's that? And she'd come in. What are you doing here? And I go, well. So every so often I would do that, right? And she liked of all her kids, I was the one person she actually enjoyed to spend time with, right? Because we talked about stuff. She was really smart. I was, I started reading when my grandma brought me up. I was reading books, by the time I was 3 and 4, right? And not just, Dick and Jane, but books, right? I mean, I read all of the James Bond series by the time I was 6. I remember going to see From Russia with Love with my parents, and I told them what the movie was about. How do you know about this movie? I read the book. Oh, you couldn't have read the book. You're only 7 years old. I read all their books. And my dad, after he started reading them, then we talk about it, and he goes, "You did read all these books, didn't you?" Yes, Dad. I've read all the books that you have in this house. What? Yes, yeah. The whole Britannica, I read the whole thing. What? And that was before we moved east, when we were still in Freeport. And I would do stuff like that, and they go, what? So I remember when I was, in kindergarten, before the nun murdered me, they sent me to a shrink. My cardinal, that's my cardinal godfather got the idea that I was going to be a rocket scientist because, I had an IQ of like 190 when I was a little kid. So it didn't, I didn't think I was anything special or, I really did not kind of really, 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 really get it in my head that I didn't think like other people until I was about 45. When I was in universities and all these people had all kinds of degrees and I had no degree whatsoever, but I had been in all these universities and I've been handed from one really smart guy to the next smart guy to the next guy to help them. And then I, was elevated to running programs. And that's when I started to get degrees because I remember I did this one program and my boss said, Al, you're going to have to explain this to all these congressmen and senators. And they're going to ask you, what degrees you have. And I look at your pedigree and man, you have been at more university. You spent more time with the best, most amazing professors. I've talked to them all. They said, so he goes, you need this degree, you need this degree, you need this degree. And he could give them to me because he was head of this department. And so he gave me, bachelor's degree and this master's degree and that, and that's, how I got my, master's in social work, my postdoc in sociology and anthropology, because I was running these programs and I needed to have credentials. So these guys just gave them to me, right? Yeah. I didn't pay for that schooling. And I got, I didn't matriculate, but I got I was more time in universities than anybody who got a degree. And so, and that's how this stuff works. If you are valued, that's the kind of treatment you get. But today they've replaced all of that with apps, with, artificial intelligence. And that artificial intelligence ain't that intelligent because it's being programmed by morons, the prejudice and stupidity of other people who are programming the shit who think they are smart. So that's the corner we're painting ourselves into. And so the day Jack got whacked was one of those days. My mom came in and she found me, self-hypnotizing myself. And she was like, oh, it's a beautiful day. They already called him. And every time they would say, so is he okay? And she said, oh, he's a little under the weather. And, and I was way under the weather until I was about 12, right? At 10, I said, that's it. I'm not ending up in a hospital again like this, period. And I didn't, but I still got sick. It took me another 2 years. And it took me how I got my dog when I was about 12 one summer. I was still getting sick, not ending up in the hospital, but still missing school. And this was after Jack got whacked. And this one summer, my mom found a guy who was a specialist in allergies, right? And so, he goes, he looked at, I had like a file of what medically going on with me, and he read the whole thing. He said, listen, your son is a very special, situation. He's not like the normal person I would see. So what I wanted to do is keep him at the farm. And his wife bred horses and dogs, Labrador retrievers, golden labs, super duper, top of the line, and horses, racetrack horses. So she did that, and she was a vet, and he was, an endocrinologist slash, a guy who dealt with people who were allergies. Okay? And he was also a virologist. So he was a smart guy, and she was a real smart lady. So I stayed with them, right? And so the first thing he does, my parents dropped me, and they live on this beautiful farm out there in eastern Long Island on the North Shore, really beautiful place. And I'm like a voodoo doll. I mean, he puts me on this, chiropractor's table, and he sticks about 20 pins in my back, right, to see what neck of the woods, what I'm allergic to. These are all allergen things that these are, spots. And he explained to me that he was using, um, Tai Chi and acupuncture in finding these spots, and then, these needles, because acupuncture needles, these needles had allergens in them. And so he could really see how you were going to react. So he needles me up, and I look like, I got bumps and lumps and all kinds of stuff. And so he's taking juice out of me and turning other little gizmos and things, and then injecting me with other jungle juice. And I stayed there 3 weeks with him, right? And so, he would see me for about an hour in the morning. And then I would go, help his wife in the barn with the horses and the dogs. And basically, all of the horses and the dogs were other allergens. And so I would, respond to, the hay, the mold, the this, the that. And the mold was the biggest thing that I had issues, and all different flavors of mold. So anyway, after the second week, I no longer slept in the room they had for me. They put me in the kennel with the dogs, because there was this one bitch that was about to have her puppies. And the first day I worked in the kennel, I bonded with that dog, and the lady said, "Boy, that dog really likes you and trusts you, and she's gonna, in the next 4 or 5 days. So I think you should sleep here." And I'm sure the husband, the doctor, said, he should be in the kennel. So I was in there with on the wood chips with Mama. I was there when she had the puppies, like at 3 a.m, and I didn't, get upset because she wasn't upset. One popped out, she licked it, was watching the whole thing, going, doing great. And she'd look at me and smile and lick the dog. And then she'd pass the dog over to me, and the dog would be in my lap. And I had this big blanket that I was sleeping in. I would, lie down again and put the puppy in there with me. And then 20 minutes later, or, whatever, the next one pop out. And so that whole night, that's all I did was kind of that. And was really good with them. And then after about the third one, she started lactating. And so she kind of said, okay. And so the puppies kind of came out from underneath my blanket and, she was right there and went right on the nipple. And I watched that whole miracle of life when I was about 11 years old. And so I assisted with the mama dog, and started around 2 a.m. and finished up around 4 or 5, right? And then I kind of, huddled up with Mama and put the blanket over all of us, and the puppies were between me and Mama, and she was really happy about that. And there was one runt, and she was kind of ignoring the runt. And I said, no, you need to take care of this one. And she would, but it was a runt. She'd kind of nudge him over to me. Anyway, so I stayed with those puppies for another week, and he, shot me up with all kinds of jungle juice, and I had some severe reactions and not so severe. But after that, I no longer was. Mold still can make me do this, but not die. Mold used to knock me over. So anyway, that's how I got Dandy, right? Because, she was going to just euthanize the little guy. And she goes, this dog, Mama really loves you. The puppies really love you. And this runty guy, he really loves you. And so instead of knocking him off, I sell these dogs for $2 or $3 because genetically they are, as long as you're not going to breed this guy, he's yours. So I did. And that was Dandy. Dandy lived 26 years. Anyway, so about a year before that is when Jack got whacked. And so I'm there sitting on the bed with a sock on my leg, and my mom goes, "Oh, it's a beautiful day. They already called up. I told them that you weren't coming in. So why don't you go outside?" And actually, Dandy, I did have Dandy because he was still a puppy. He was he was getting big, but he was still a puppy. He was probably 6 months old. So it was winter. It was October. I got him in July. So yeah. So Dandy was already 63 was when he was born. So anyway, so we go outside and we had a big backyard and half, it was about 6 acres and about four of them was manicured and lawns and because this property was a farm, and this guy bought it and he developed it, and the lot that this house was on, he had planted all this stuff, trees and bushes and flowers, that he then, when he built the house, put, so he had this whole pine forest of trees that he put around other houses. It's like what a nursery. So anyway, there was this big rock, and there was all these bushes around it, and you could come up from behind it and sit on this flat part of the rock. I mean, big rock, from that top, it was like 4 foot down to the ground. And in front of that were all these rose bushes and azaleas and other kind of stuff. And on either side, there was big clumps of trees and apple trees. So it used to be an apple orchard, right? So those trees were from back in the day. So anyway, Dandy and I are basically just on this rock, sunning ourselves, right? We're like splayed out on this rock, and the sun's hitting us, and it's feeling so nice. And Dan, he just loved to love on me, right? So if we were lying on a rock, he would be right in my chest. He'd be just lying right on my chest. His little head, his head getting bigger, because when he got big, he was 125 pounds. When he went on two legs and got up on, and put his hand, he would be almost 6 foot tall. He was like a lion. He was, that's usually what happened to runs. If they survive, they become the lion, the king of the jungle. So anyway, so he's only 6 months, but he's already maybe 50 pounds. He's no longer the little guy when I brought him home. And he used to sleep in my bed. He slept, when he started getting bigger, he'd always sleep in my bedroom because I had a door out to go outside. My parents didn't want him in the house. I mean, he could come into the mudroom and he could be in the kitchen and he could put his nose. He wasn't allowed into the dining room, but the door was open. He could lie down and put his nose just on the other side of it so he could be in the house with everyone. And he was just obedient, He's just truly, he never had a problem with that guy. And my mom was a real dog person. She really loved him. And my dad, not so much, but he was okay with Dan. Anyway, so there we are on this rock. It's a beautiful sunny day. My mom comes out with a thermos of coffee. And it's plate. My mom was not the greatest cook. My Italian grandma, was an amazing cook. But my mom was German, so she was a pretty good baker. She had some things. She made these apple kugels that were pretty amazing, and she could make cookies that were. And they were like, and she had this Kugan dough that was just fluffy and doughy and just really melt in your mouth kind of dough. And she'd make cookies out of the same stuff and put fruit in them or chocolate chips, and they were really amazing. So she came out with a plate of apple Kugan cookies and chocolate chip cookies. And she liked the caramel. She made caramel chocolate chip cookies too. So she had her little thing of coffee with booze, and I had my little thermos of just coffee. And anyway, we're sitting on the rock, and we're eating cookies, and Dandy is like just in heaven, and she's rubbing his head, and we have this beautiful, and we don't really say anything. It's just a beautiful day. It's in October. It's warm. Winter hasn't showed up yet, and we're just sitting there. And we're there for a good 2 hours where we don't really say anything. We're just at ease. And my mom, she's like a chimney with cigarettes. But in this 2 or 3 hours, whatever it was like from around 11 till 2-ish, right? Anyway, we came in and we my grandma's rule was always have dessert first, and my mom was kind of a fan of that. So she was hungry for lunch. So she had, she was pretty good with soups too. Germans are not soups and bread. So she made this dark bread that was quite nice, and she also made a nice sourdough bread that was quite nice. So anyway, she had a nice thing of hot bread, the black bread and the sourdough bread, and we would get real good butter. And so anyway, we have this big bowls of soup, and we got the TV on in the TV room. This TV room, which is the great room, and there's a TV there, and then there's a dining room, and then there's a kitchen, right? And so the TV is like maybe 20 yards from where we're sitting in the kitchen, and we can hear it and we can kind of see it, and it's just a background. And then flash, from Texas, president is in the hospital. They don't even say he's been shot. It's just he's in the hospital, right? And so my mom goes, "Oh, what's going on?" So we go in there and we're watching it, and then Walter Cronkite comes on, and he goes, "President Kennedy has been shot in Dallas, and he's in such and such hospital, and we haven't gotten anything." And then it goes back to a soap opera, days of our time, right? Through the hourglass, right? And so, um, you know, we're like, whoa, what is this? And so we're watching that, and my mom likes the soap opera, so it's 3 or 4 minutes, and then it goes straight back to Walter, and Walter, it's here 11 something or whatever time it was when Jack dies, and he takes off his glass and then a little tear, and he, President Kennedy is dead, and it goes right to a commercial, right from that little thing, and it's for Folgers coffee, and there is metronome, right, tick tock, and it's going on. It's just this, right, and the sound of the tick tock, tick tock, and that's one of the things when I learned how to hypnotize people as a psychologist, you'd use a metronome, focus on and everyone's looking at them. They just heard the announcement that Jack is dead, and the tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, and my mom and I are like watching it go back and forth, and it goes Folgers coffee. In those moments of great stress and trauma, you need a cup of Folgers coffee. And then you see the coffee being poured, the big hand pouring the coffee into a cup, and the tick tock, and then back. Breaking news, the big red letters, breaking news, bang, back to Walter Cronkite, and he's going, da 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 da, and then back to the Folgers, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. And my mom looks at me, I look at her, and she goes, "There's something wrong with this. There's something wrong." And I talked to her many times about that, and she goes, I don't really want to get into it, because if we go down that pathway, it means, your father works for the Air Force, there's, he's part of this thing called, COG, continuity of government. And there's so many, those cocktail parties where, Dr. Werner von Braun was, and, he gets drunk and tells us what's going to happen. And, we're all property. And, I just don't want to, why do you think I drink so much? Why do you think I smoke so many cigarettes? Because we are very comfortable. We are very blessed. I don't have to work anymore. Your father makes a lot of money. We look at this nice, beautiful house and the school you go to, and you have this career in front of you. You shouldn't be thinking about this. Don't think about it. Yes, you think about things in ways that nobody else thinks about things, but this isn't one of those things you should be thinking about. Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. Let's see. Uh, you up for a meditation? Yeah. Air signs are great communicators. What do you think about the Freemasons? Now, Freemasons, we'll go backwards, and we're gonna do a guided meditation. Freemasons are just another boys' club, you know. Really, all those clubs are just—that's all they are, clubs, right? Now, you want to really know stuff, you need to go into the mystery schools. Dragon, I would suggest there is a really interesting, the YouTube has amazing amount of people who are putting out some interesting stuff. Don't believe a word they say, just like me. Again, morning, evening, afternoon. Welcome to Dreamy Dreamland with your Sensei Al Bob. That's me, your griot, to tell you the story. And here we are. And don't believe a word I say. You want to get a hold of me personally, the Dude Awake 42 at Gmail, Dude Awake 42 at Gmail, Dude Awake 42 at Gmail, right? So the bottom line of all of this, and you want to throw something in my PayPal, which I would dearly love. It's my birthday. It's my birthday. It still is. It's still African gratitude month, February. And we should all be, because the African Americans built this freaking country. You go to like I said, I used to work in the patent library, and as a scroll, and I once spent a number of weeks looking up all of the industrial patents between the 1790s and the 1890s, and I learned how to study the patent. You'd see the picture, you see the description, and then you'd see where it said who owned it, right? And so most of the patents I looked at were farm implements, like McCormick Reaper and, the cotton gin, right? And it was so obvious that these were invented by the men and women who worked in the fields, especially the cotton gin, right? Because picking cotton and separating it, would cut your hands up like razor blades. So these guys figured out a way just to throw the cotton into a thing and turn a thing, and it would separate, those things without ripping the heck out of their hands. Now, they were slaves, so the white people didn't care. But the black, and because it did it faster, better than doing it by hand, the white people said fine. And then the guy who, so the wife of the man who owned the farm, the plantation, she wrote it out in her nice handwriting. The black man or woman who worked on making the cotton gin made the working drawing because they were artists and they were creative, and right? And then the place where it said who owned it was the white drunk who owned the plantation, right? And he just would scribble his signature. Virtually all the patents were like that. It's pretty obvious, especially within the dynamics of farm implements, that black people invented everything. The white women who basically had more of the relationship with the black families, with the kids, with the wives, and probably were getting stooped by the mandingos, and that kept the homogeneous ease of the plantation. It wasn't the plantation did not run on ease when they were being beaten and treated badly. That's not good for the bottom line. So that was pretty obvious. When I worked at the patent library, that was one of the things. Look at this. So I've always had this ability to be in the right place at the right time. Right? Always had, the perspective where I would look, instead of being like, oh, I believe in this, and this is how it is, and oh, what is the thing about race, blah blah blah, and why should black people even have February? It's 28 days. Please, there is only one species, Homo sapien, and we're alien. You look at all the other animals on this earth, we're the only ones without scales or fur, Everybody, we need clothes. No other animal needs clothes. We need a house. No other animal needs a house. We need to grow food. No other animal needs that. It's like even animals that are under animal husbandry, you know, they're fine with being free range. The chickens and the goats and everybody else, can just kind of let them go. I mean, it's not good for them. They've been bred to be husband, but humans are the only odd man out of all the species, and there is no, species of, um, black Homo sapien, white Homo sapien, yellow Homo sapien, red Homo sapien. No, we're all one species, Homo sapiens, two genders, right? And the gender thing is this scale. That's why there's homosexuals and transsexuals, is because not everyone is 100% guy and testosterone and the female with, no, it's this gradating scale, and that's why humans are the odd entity out, right? Because we're part reptile and part and part mammal. We are truly, a very strange entity. We're a snake and a mammal and a whale. It's so nothing is as it seems to be, right? Martin Young, hey buddy, bud. James P7, is this your birthday? Every day is my birthday. One day, this is the day I celebrate my mother, right? For giving me life. But every day I give thanks for being here. It's my birthday. But February, I'm an Aquarian, and I'm right in the middle. I'm as Aquarian as you can get. I am a dragon, so that's why I relate to dragons so well. I'm a dragon in the Chinese astrology. And, it's so, and especially February, it's my birthday. It's pretty much 364 days of the year. It's my birthday. I'm just happy to be here. I celebrate being here. And that's the story, and I'm sticking to it. And so I said we do a guided meditation. There's 5 of you there. It's 8 thumbs up. Up for meditation. Yes. Signs are great communicators. Yep. What do you think about Freemasons? Again, just a club, and they're not very disciplined. I mean, it's patriarchal pyramid scam, blah blah blah. Come on. So it's like being part of a pyramid scheme, right? And it's all based on a lateral organizational structure. Sorry about that. Okay, so let's do it, guys. Everyone get in a nice, comfortable position, right? And start breathing nice and deep. And in every day and every way, take the peace of the earth and make it stronger. And focus your conscious mind on your breath, right? And as you breathe deeper and deeper, filling your lungs with that prana life force that animates our bodies, and connecting yourself to the chi of Mother Earth, the sky, to the prana, Father Sky, Mother Earth, Holy Spirit. That's who we are. That is the triad, right? That is what is love's co-creation. See it clearly. And as you go deeper and deeper into this state of conscious relaxation, that swirl in the cage in your mind, and the Rolodex of information, that's all it is, the Rolodex of useless information. You aren't your body, you aren't your mind, you are your spirit. You're not even your soul. Your body is the mud puppet. That's your avatar. That allows you to play in the sandbox of this linear experience that is an illusion, right? Because in reality, existence exists in that one moment. Not the past, not the future, but right here, right at this moment. That is the Big Bang. We are experiencing the Big Bang right here, right now. See it clearly, right? All that energy. And that energy is the prana. As you breathe it in, it goes into every cell. So as you breathe in deep, 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 fill those lungs, fill them up, fill. Hold it. Then breathe it all out. And the more you breathe out, keep breathing out, you're expelling all of the fear, all the anxiety, all the toxic waste of your body. As you breathe in the prana, the animating force of love's co-creation. You breathe out all the ego, all the poison of your body. See it clearly. Go deeper and deeper and deeper into that state of relaxation. See it clearly. Okay? Your eyes are closed. You're in a restful space. Your body is at ease. And in front of you, you see your imaginary mirror, that gold, silvery light, the prana light flowing down through you from Father Sky. And that imaginary mirror is your right there behind your eyelids, right? That's where you have dream sleep. That's where you have REM sleep. That's where you dream, right? That's where dreamy dreamland is. See it clearly. So illuminate that and walk through that light. And as you walk through it, you're going into your subconscious mind, which is not a scary place. It is your Akashic record, the library of all of your spirits or your soul's experience. Your soul is a server bringing that experience from all those lives, from all those mud puppets that you've been, right? All those avatars. And you've been an avatar, not just Homo sapiens sapiens, but you've been an avatar of grain of sand, a daisy, a butterfly. Now see all of those different lives, see them clearly. And you walk into your Akashic record and you look around and it looks like it's made up of these big stones, but you look closely, those stones are big books, 4 foot by 4 foot by 2 foot thick, right? And they got leather bounding and gold trim around the edges of the pages. And there are more pages than an onion skin. And why gold is so important, it is a transmitter of that prana energy, right? Of the shamanic force of those co-creation, that scalar wave of everything. See it clearly. And in front of you, you're standing there, there's the big fireplace and that blue twin flame of love's co-creation. In front of that, a nice coffee table and easy chairs. And that fireplace big enough to drive a train through. So the chimney is humongous. And that's like Grand Central Station. And you can have visitors come down that chimney. Harry Potter, that scene. I mean, a lot of stuff in Harry Potter is kind of what it is. One man's science, another man's magic, another man's magic, another man's religion. Another man's religion is another man's business protege, mercantile kind of transactional lie of the ego. And here in your Akashic record, it goes into a nice flow where you see what things are and you're not bitten by the illusion, okay? Because the light in this room is photonic light, no shadows, right? Right now here, I'm in front of incandescent light, shadows, photonic light, no shadows. You see everything clearly, see it clearly. And in front of your fireplace, in front of your easy chair, where you can have guests and you can have tea on the nice coffee table or coffee and crumpets. And in front of that is your reading table. And in front of that is your reading chair. And above it is a nice photonic light that brings shadowless light. And to your left is your librarian. See your librarian clearly, right? And to the left of your librarian's animal totem, see your animal totem clearly. To your left, your animal totem is your guardian angel. And these are your guides in your Akashic record. Your librarian brings you the information, and you open up the Akashic record, and you see on the big screen. And you also get to eliminate the things that you don't need. So, You're sitting down at your reading table in that nice reading chair and the nice photonic light above you, no shadows. Your librarian brings over that big book. You open it up, 2 blank pages. Put your right hand on the right page, left hand on left, and you lean into it and you evacuate. Ah! And all of the violence, all of the anger, all of the fear, all of the anxiety, all of the lies, misgivings of your ego are right there. Where do you think they got the Rorschach chart? That ink blot is all that evacuation of all that negativity, all of that neuroses, all of that ego is bang on the white pages, ink blot, right? Now you close the book, boom, you close the book, right? Now all of that anxiety, it's all left you. You feel free, you feel light, you feel gracious, you feel generous, hospitable, loving. There is no fear in you at all. All you feel is love's co-creation. Feel it clearly. Feel this feeling. Feel this is the way you are at ease. When you are dis-ease, that's what you have, disease, right? When you're worrying about this, that, and the other thing, you're diseased. That brings. My Uncle Leo, who used to smoke like a chimney, right? He lived to be 89. He was the sheriff of the county my mom grew up in. And he would smoke cigarettes. He was a Mohawk. He looked straight up the nickel. And he would take a cigarette out and he would hold it up and bless it, because tobacco is a blessed tool. It's a prayer tool. When you smoke it, the smoke brings your prayers up to God. So he would bless every cigarette and thank God and say, I'm smoking this cigarette to talk to you with love's co-creation, right? That's why he never even had a tickle. He never had a smoker's cough. He never was, but he smoked them like a chimney, right? So that's tobacco, right? And so there are all these tools in nature. When you use them correctly, it brings ease. When you use them incorrectly, it brings dis-ease. Now, this is a powerful tool, cigarettes. So you're smoking it and you're worrying about shit. You are imbibing all of that anxiety, And so you're giving yourself that disease, right? I've died 7 times and never died because I'm mostly at ease, And when I'm not at ease, I'm exercising my prerogative to do an experiment on what is this thing that people are experiencing. Going, right? That's why it doesn't kill me, right? So there you are. You have evacuated all of this anxiety, and this is a good thing to do before you go to sleep, so you don't go to sleep with any anxiety. It's out of you. Then you can dream about whatever you want to. Dreamy dreamland with your Sensei Al Bob. So you evacuate. You put all that anxiety in the book. You close it when it was, an ink blot. You open it up, and there it is, a big screen taking up both pages with 28 little screens all around it. Now that ink blot is no longer, that. It becomes a real vision of, oh, look at that. Oh, look why I can't believe I did that. I won't do that again. Look at that. That is what psychotherapy is, right? That is what the ink blot test is, that evacuation of that anxiety, and then you interpret it, right? But with your own Akashic records, bingo, you see, you don't need a guy to tell you what you're seeing. You see it yourself. That's what you do in your dreams. It's like, wow, my dreams are so important. But instead of you interpreting, you pay somebody $160 an hour and they have a prejudice. Very, very, very few healers don't have a prejudice. They all, first of all, they're motivated by money. Wrong reason. In indigenous people, the healer is never motivated by money. He's not going to get X, Y, or Z out of this. No, he's doing it from the love of his or her heart. Right? That's why I do it. I don't get paid for all those. Like today when I was shopping around for John's stuff, I ran into about, 6 different people that I did a reading on who, I looked at them, I saw their aura, said, well, this person is right at this moment ready to hear what I have to say. Hey, let me look at your palm. I put their palm up. I gave them reading. They were like, none of them said, "Boy, you're full of shit, man." No, they were all like, "Wow." Meaning I affected them. And then once I kind of got that little hook in, I said, okay, You need to look at this, this, and this. And from now on, don't let this get a hold of you. From now on, this is where you got to go. And you are the decider. I'm just giving you information. And that's what, here as your griot, that's all I do. You guys are the decider. This is your Akashic record you're looking at. You are the ones who have evacuated all that stuff. And your dreams. So you have wild, crazy dream. You just go, I have to write it down. You can't. That's a different part of your brain. What you need to do is you've been given this great little device called a smartphone. There's a recorder on it. Wow, just had a dream about blah, 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 blah. Now it's on that device. At your own leisure, you go back and you play it back and you listen to it, you pause it, you go back, you get another book, your dream book, and you write down what you're hearing. Because when you took notes in school, wasn't to remember, it was when you hear something and write it down, you understand it. It's called a gestalt, lightning understanding. That's what gestalt therapy is, right? And if I had any school of thought, it would, gestalt therapist. I'm also a big fan of Lacan, the French guy, who said, whenever you're complaining about something and going, you know what your problem is, meaning when I'm telling you what your problem is, I'm talking about myself. Every time you hear yourself going on about somebody else, you're talking about yourself. Right? So in your dreams, all this shit goes down, and then you put it on the phone, then you play it back, then you write it down, you go, wow, that's why I did this. And that's why you're looking at your Rorschach test on your screen in your Akashic record right now, and that's what you've done in the last 48 hours. You go, oh, look at that. No, I won't do that again. Why did I? And you have these 28 other little screens around the big screen. You're a multi-dimensional character living in a two-dimensional world, linear world that doesn't exist. It's an illusion. That's why I got 28. So you can see every angle that you normally don't from this person's opinion, that person, you see all these different angles. And that's where you need to go. Okay, so take a look at that. I'm going to let you look at that for a while. I am going to go check on something. I'll be right back. Okay. I'll be right back. Okay. First, I'm going to close up the window here because it keeps the cold air out. It's just a simple little blanket over the big window cuts the cold by almost 40%, right? And if you put it up close to where the little edges of the window are, it does another 10%. And it's a nice purple. So now I'll be right back. Oh, hey there, gang. How many are you still with here? 5. That's pretty good. Very good. So, 2. You're in a deep, 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 deep state of relaxation, going deeper and deeper and deeper into your conscious mind. Your subconscious is the doorway into your Akashic record. This mud puppet is just an avatar. It's not who you are. It is a vehicle that you can experience your multidimensional self in a 2-dimensional plane, right? Which gives it's this very interesting little experience because it does give you certain avenues to experiment. But because you're lied to so vehemently to be controlled, that it's more, your body is more a prison cell. A bunch of you dropped out. You woke up, I guess. So anyway, realize that A, you're not your body. B, it's a prison cell. C, it is a magic carpet ride. So do not be restricted by belief structures, religious ones. Now, culturally, they're very interesting, right? Sociologically, they can be now crutches, or you break your leg. It's good to have a crutch so you can ambulatory and move around. But if you depend on that crutch, it's like me. When I was, 240 pounds overweight, more than I am today. If I had, let them chop my legs off and rode around in a electric wheelchair, like, oh, it'll be great. You'll be in an electric wheelchair. You'll be totally taken care of. We'll put you in a special house. All your needs will be taken care of, blah, blah, blah. I said, screw that. I want a life, No, I'm not going to do this, So I didn't let them do it. Didn't let them to crack my chest. Didn't let them do all the shit they wanted to do. I didn't take, all the medicines they gave me were like, they made me sicker than I was. So I left those doctors, found another doctor. They were, it took me 5 rounds to find the right doctors who I said, hey, this is what's going on. This is what I want to do. And they said, well, isn't that interesting? Finally, I got a patient who's, responsible adult who has done his homework and wants to be healthy rather than addicted to big pharma and the corporate state. Oh, that's very interesting. Of course, they worked in it and they ran big entities, but they liked one person who was going to, doctor, heal thyself, and that's how it has to go. If you get sick, you have to, yes, doctors can help. I mean, I was one of those people who helped people get better, but I didn't let myself be their crutch. I didn't let them get addicted to my abilities so they would pay me lots of money for the rest of their friggin' life. I was there to help them, and I still do that to this day. I charge no one anything, and I don't do anything within the, what do? I read your palm, what I do. There's no big deal. It's entertainment. Don't believe a word I say. We're down to one person. So, and it's about 3 hours, and I'm going to kind of let you go. My battery is winding down here. So I'm going to say, hope you got something out of that. Anyone want to say anything? There's only one left. Again, anyone wants to get a hold of me at the dudeawake42@gmail. Anyone wants to, drop something in my PayPal, I truly, really appreciate it. Again, that's PayPal, and then they'll say, where do we send it to? And that's the dudeawake42@gmail, all one thing, small undercase, blah, blah, blah. Love you guys. I'll see you tomorrow. Do something in the morning, do something in the afternoon. Okay. Till then, catch you later. Love you guys. Let's close with a prayer. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Was in the beginning, is now, or shall be, world without amen. Oh, there's three of you now. Anyone else got something to say before I shove off? Yeah, I mean, give me something to talk about. I'll talk some more. No, you're leaving. Well, it's been 3 hours and 7 minutes and 49 seconds. Why don't we wait till it hits 57 seconds and I'll go. There it is. Love you guys. Talk to you later. See you in the morning. Sweet dreams.